right, we are recording.
Simon.
Joshua.
What are you munching on there, bud?
I just finished some curly fries.
Ooh. So what do you prefer? You prefer curly fries, crinkle cut, straight cut, steak fries? What's your poison?
I mean, all of the above, you know what I'm saying? I'm not picky. No. I guess
I don't
my
know what
go-to
you're
is
saying,
probably
actually.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like you're implying something.
Applying something else. If I had an option on the table of just it's curly. I enjoy Jack in the Box's curly fries. They're very good.
Okay.
Arby's makes some good curly fries as well, but you don't see a whole lot of Arby's around, you know?
No.
And I'm not going there just for their curly fries. So
There's probably like one Arby for every other county, you know?
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. So yeah. I go with Jack and Crack curly fries.
So I'm gonna go a little outside the box.
Okay.
If I'm gonna have fries, I'm gonna have chili cheese fries. That's my go-to fry.
Okay. All right.
That's
Where
cream of the
though?
crop.
Is like anywhere that would offer it, or just
If we're doing fast food, it's Wiener Schnitzels.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay.
It's what?
Wiener Schnitzels has the best. Wiener Schnitzels?
Oh, okay. The hot dog, the A-frame hot dog place.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Those are hard
Last
to
time I
find,
saw one
too.
of those. Yeah, like I've only ever seen
Those
it
are
on-
hard.
Yeah, like an Arby's, yeah.
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 One in every county.
I think-
That's their rule.
I think the Bay Area has the most though, because there's in the Bay Area there's one in Fremont or two in Fremont,
Wow, two.
one in
Amazing.
New City, one in Hayward, one in Alameda, one in Livermore. So Bay
there's-
has like 7.
There's 4 in one county. They were selfish.
Why does the Bay Area love Wiener Schnitzel so much?
We love our wieners, okay? We love our hot dogs.
You're thinking about them right now? Just always.
Yeah, because if you think about it, we have Casper's too. We have a ton of Casper's in the Bay Area.
What's
which
a
is hot dog
Casper's?
like stand place?
It's a Wiener franchise as well.
Yeah, so they boil or steam their hot dogs. They're not grilled.
Snap.
Like
Snap,
yeah, so you get that
like taste.
snap. They're very long wieners, thin and long. There's no into it. I'm dead serious. This is what they are.
Sorry, I'm just watching the look on your face, and you're like, "How do I get out of this?"
But they're thin, long wieners. They have a snap that everyone loves,
Mm-hmm.
and they steam their buns with their hot dogs. So the buns are getting like this hot dog flavored water.
Sorry, this sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a whole new direction for this podcast. We're gonna have a lengthy discussion about fast food wiener franchises, and
I think okay. So I have been to one in LA. I don't know if it's a franchise. Pinks or Pinkies? What is it called?
Pinks.
Pinks.
It's not a franchise.
Pinks.
It's
Yeah,
just like
Pinks?
one
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I went there. I think we waited for an hour, Simon, I believe, to get a chili cheese dog, and it was good.
It's
But
always
I didn't like the
yeah,
wait.
always a long ass line there, man. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there again because I just want a quick dog. Walk in, walk out.
Right.
But over there, I have to wait an hour for a hot dog. Like it's
It's a tourist
wasn't a gourmet
attraction
dog.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, any Angelino will tell you like it's not worth the wait. Like it's not that they're not good. It's just not worth the wait. You know.
yeah.
I'm
If you're
always
a
telling
tourist, do
people-
it once and then get out of your system.
Yeah, like I'm always telling people if you're visiting LA, like skip Pink's, skip In-N-Out, skip Five Guys, all the other stuff people talk about. Just go to Guisados. It's like a whole chain now. Got them all over the place. Way better use of your time, and you won't have to wait in line for like an hour to get mediocre food.
How do you got Simon and Jordy? You guys are in LA. You guys are LA people. How do you guys feel about Portos?
It's good.
So I love Portos. I think it's high quality and super affordable. I have not. It has not disappointed thus far.
I like Porto's a lot. I never go there because I'm just not willing to wait an hour and a half for like a pastry. But it's all good. Like it's all good. The coffee's good. Like it's all
Yeah.
good. It's just like because I used to live in Burbank and there's one there, and that's probably the least crowded of all of them. Right? There's not that. What are they like three? Right? That's the one that has like
I
the
don't know, dude.
least.
The one in Anaheim, I'd only wait like 20 minutes, and I'd get like a 2 box full of stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
What time
It was
did you
like
go?
those little like potato dogs. It was early, right before we leave home, so around 7:30 or 8 in the morning.
On like a weekday, a
So
weekend?
we usually weekend, it would be like a Sunday because we go
Okay.
we go to Disneyland Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Sunday we head home.
Okay.
But we'd go there. I'd buy 2 boxes, and then I'm out.
So maybe Burbank is like the most
But
crowded one, and I just don't know what I'm talking about.
but again, for us in the Bay Area, this is like we're willing to sacrifice that time. There's no other time we're gonna go up there, and get it. There's nowhere for us to go and get it around here.
Right.
So waiting. If we waited an hour and a half at a Disneyland line, we're willing to wait 20 minutes for a pastry, for $1.50 pastry. You know what I mean?
You've made your decision.
You guys,
You're living with the consequences.
That's when a Steam Deck is great.
Yes.
We're not sponsored by Steam, but
Context,
Yeah.
I bought a Steam Deck. Simon came by earlier.
Yes.
He was very impressed with it.
it looks amazing. It looks dope.
This is not an ad, but yes, it is
That's
very
super
nice. And if you like video games, you should probably get one.
I'll send you I have it somewhere on my phone saved, but this guy who says once you get a Steam Deck, you got to get these accessories to make your life better because there's like a certain grip
Yeah.
that it has to it, but you could enhance the grip. There's a battery pack, extended battery pack you could buy.
Oh, I know. I've seen all of
some-
it. As soon as I got it, I
Okay,
spent an hour
alright.
online just like, what else can I waste my money on?
$300 wasn't enough. I need
Yeah.
to spend more.
Yeah. I mean, so I've mentioned like I got my game gear and I bought all the stuff for that thing. The hard shell clam case, right? That carries like 10 games. The battery
Right.
expansion pack, like all this stuff for it. And as soon as I opened the box and that Steam Deck arrived, I was all like, I want to buy a case for this. Right? Like it's like immediately like those old habits, they die hard. And I'm already like I'm gonna buy like a dock to put it in, a charging dock. I'm gonna get like special handles for it. Gotta get an SD card. I'm like, I wonder if I could disassemble it, pull off the case, and like get a colored case for it. Right? Like it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So this is why I've avoided buying one because I knew as soon as I got it, I just end up spending like another $400 on stupid shit that I don't need. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna say, well, I'll level up. I like to level up when I get something.
it's a really
But-
positive spin to put on it. Yeah, I'm leveling up. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm gonna tell myself.
You're gaining experience.
Yeah,
Consumer
when I click the
experience.
order button on Amazon and there goes like another $200, I'm like, it's fine. I'm leveling up. That's what those numbers
That's
mean.
just level up. Level 900.
The level is how much debt you're in.
Right.
Right.
That's how you flex.
So
I think I've been sending.
Yeah.
So I've been sending Jordan these little reels about like tech guys. He's like, life sucks right now. I was just let go of my tech job, and I gotta learn to survive off 700,000 now for the next 14 years. I don't know how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
They're freaking
That's
hilarious,
rough.
dude.
rough.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
What
and
is
I
life?
think it's fair. Don't waste sympathy on people like me. Even though I got laid off, I'll be fine.
Yeah, he was like, one guy was yeah, I was given 400,000 for, what do they call this again when they let you go? Your
Severance.
not stipend.
Severance.
Yeah, a $400,000 severance. So I gotta make that last for the next 12 years because I don't know. I gotta figure out who I am, what makes me tick. Like what do I want to do for the rest of my life now?
It hurts because it's accurate. Because like we got laid off. Like, no, I'll give Ome's respect on this. The severance was pretty good. You know, I kept getting paychecks for like 3 months after they let it. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to log in anymore. They shut off access to systems as just like a policy thing, right? But I kept getting checks until like February, and then like they covered medical for like months afterwards.
That's amazing.
I told you guys about the career coach they hired for us, the career service.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and I'm like,
You
yeah,
need to
I'm gonna
network more.
yeah, I'm gonna take January off. I'm just gonna think about what I want to do with my life. Like that's exactly what I did. so yeah,
And that's how Secret Hideout Podcast was born.
yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna try podcasting. We'll see what happens. You know.
Oh, nice.
No, I have been interviewing, but yeah, I'm definitely not like hard up for cash or anything. So, and now that I've flexed on all
I hate
of our
you, Jordan.
listeners,
Yeah. I hate you, Jordan.
Right.
I was strapped for cash. I was doing Instacart 12 hours a day for like $200.
That's how you're
So-
discovering yourself.
So thank you, Jordan. Yeah, thank you, Simon. Yeah, I was. Appreciate that. You guys were always questioning me like, why don't you have money? Like, I don't know, dude. I'm surviving. Oh, you can't afford that? I remember one time you guys were like, you can't afford $30 for the movie pass? I'm like, no, dude. I got a kid.
no. Okay, hold on. You say you guys. That was Simon. That was not me. I
was
was not all. I knew.
Idiot, dude.
I know. I have a mortgage. I understand responsibility. All right.
Thank you, Jordan.
Golly, you landowners. It's like you guys live in a different world or something. Come on.
You guys don't know how to be responsible with your money. You can't even go out and have fun.
That's like one less trip to the gas station, okay? That's all you need to do. One less trip to the gas station. Jeez Louise.
Do you think he makes trips to the gas station for fun? Like, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
why?
Oh, yeah.
I can just choose not
Yeah,
to get gas.
yeah.
Flex on everybody. Like, hey,
He has his
look,
giant
I
truck.
can afford $10 a gallon, everybody.
Look, son. It's almost empty. You know what that means?
This is when like the Forbes editorial pieces are like, you should buy less Starbucks so you can become a billionaire. Like that's not how it works, guys.
That's the secret. That's the Warren Buffett secret.
Right. Well, yeah, there was another one where Warren Buffett just eats the same thing every day at McDonald's. And it's like,
Yeah.
people tried that. I think one YouTuber was like, I'm going to do that for a year. And he ended up gaining like 40 pounds. He get like diabetes.
I mean, look, Warren Buffett
There's no way Warren Buffett does that.
is a thrifty guy, but that's not why he's rich. It's not how
Right,
he became a
right.
billionaire. So, all right, do we actually want to get this show on the road
There's
for
some-
real? Or are we
You know, Jordan, good call. Thank you. Let's hit that track by
right.
none other than J7. Yeah, it's a good beat. J7, aka Jupiter 7, aka Larry Ewings. Thank you very much.
AKA Social Security number 111.
It probably is one. That's how old he is.
Damn, okay.
He was
I
the
love
first
him.
one that received Social Security from
Hey,
FDR.
honestly though, I'm not hating on this show, but I guarantee he doesn't listen to our show whatsoever. So we can talk about whatever we want, and I know he'll never know. Maybe that'll be a running joke. We just every episode we find something to say about him, and I'll just continue to wait until I hear from him. I'll let you guys know every week.
Right.
Okay, nah, I didn't
10
hear
years from
nothing
now, he's
yet.
going to be really, really pissed off. Like,
Yeah,
really
right.
pissed off.
Just beats the crap out of me. I start revealing like some of his, or revealing some of his like deeper secrets and most intimate moments, and we'll find it out if he hears.
It's like, why do these random people know me?
It's like, Josh, this
Anyways,
guy's
thank
got my
you
phone
guys for
number. I
listening.
don't know him, man. Where did he come from?
Thank you guys for being here with us. This is the Secret Podcast. I am Josh Roman, here with Simon Yu and our special sexy guest host, Ryan. No, what's his name? Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Ryan. Ryan
I
Johnson.
messed up the joke, dude.
Oh, dang.
Reynolds. Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds over here.
All right.
Wait,
all
how
right.
did that?
You did mess up that joke.
Ryan.
You did mess. Yeah. You did mess up that joke hard.
We got from Ryan
Ryan
Johnson
Reynolds?
to Ryan Reynolds to Burt
How
Reynolds.
are you thinking of that to Burt Reynolds? Oh no, never mind.
It's like a
Okay,
slot machine
all
with
right.
first and last names, just like slotting them in. It's like it's
I was like, Ryan
You know those.
Reynolds.
You know
No.
You know that coloring thing. It's like the 3 discs or the 3 like tiles, and like you switch them up. That's what he just did in his mind right now.
Just the names. Well,
Yeah.
remember, I don't remember if you guys remember one episode we talked about it. I could have sworn Ryan Reynolds was Burt Reynolds' son. You guys remember that when I brought that up?
No.
You guys were
I
like,
don't,
no.
but I'm glad that you mentioned it now. Do you just not
That's
know?
why-
Have you just never met anyone else in the world whose last name is Reynolds? Is that
Never met a Reynolds before. I was like, this is.
there's
I think
literally
there's
one Reynolds
only
family
two
in the
Reynolds.
whole world? That's the old.
Yeah.
So they must be related.
Right. I could have sworn they were, but I think you guys told me and made fun of me just like you're doing now. And I learned my lesson, so that's why I was like, wait, not Ryan Reynolds, Burt Reynolds. Anyways, sexy stash himself, Jordan Acosta, the longest introduction ever to date so far on our episode. Well, we have a great episode for you guys today. I'm very excited about it. A lot of stuff happened within this week. Last couple of days, a lot of news, some sad news. But we'll get to that in a minute. First, some shows we watched. Simon and Jordan. Would you like to kick off this? Is this cinema?
Ooh, yes.
Is that what we're
Is
calling
this-
it?
So
Okay. Is this cinema?
I think so. I think
right.
it's a
Well,
great.
that's what
it's
you
a great
guys called it.
segment
How do you guys
starter,
forget
yeah.
the segment you guys made up? You guys made this segment.
I didn't
called
know that
Is This
we'd
Cinema?
like actually officially decided on it. I'm fine with it.
And you guys said we're gonna go and watch a movie every week. We're buying this movie pass. You guys
That's right.
created this segment.
That's true. All right. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Is it cinema? So,
Is
Simon, do you
this
have any
cinema?
thoughts you want to lead with?
So, I have to say, this movie has a lot of heart, just like Billy Batson, and just like his best friend,
The way
colleague,
you say
something
that,
Freeman.
it's like I already know this is going to be like a negative review. Like, oh, it's got so much heart.
No,
A little
no,
movie
no,
that
no.
could. You know, I was really rooting for it.
Sorry,
I really
I'm
enjoy-
sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just need to interrupt real quick. Is that Sinbad
That's
in
Sinbad.
the middle
Yeah,
of the
so
poster?
so I found this before watching the movie. Sinbad is nowhere. He's like not in the movie whatsoever. But I thought it was cool. Yeah, he's just in the middle of it. And props to, I guess, 2020 Warner Brothers. I don't know. But I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm expecting Sinbad. And that's why it's a horrible movie, because Sinbad's not in it. So that's my take. And
What?
No.
Why did you stick with this? If you... You could have said we're not using this because Sinbad's not in it.
so I totally forgot because I was just enamored by the heartwarming tale of Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Where did you find
okay?
this? Where did you find this?
I found this on Google.
Like, is this an official?
I just
Did you just like do it like last minute? The first picture?
No. There was many others, but this one I thought was cute.
Is this an
So-
official like poster from the movie?
I
Or...
don't-
I doubt it.
It's on Reddit. I don't know.
Okay.
So
It's on Reddit.
there you have
guys.
it.
You heard
Yep.
it here
It's on the
first.
internet,
Simon found
so-
something on Reddit. Stop the presses.
Right? Exactly.
Is there a dog and a raccoon that looks possessed in the
No,
movie?
there is
No.
no dog or raccoon possessed in the movie.
What the heck, Simon?
This is
I
not
didn't
an
want to get
accurate.
copyright. I don't want to get. Yeah, it's not. It's totally not accurate. But I don't want to get copyright all that either. And I thought, oh, this is
I
cool.
don't think.
Anyways,
All right.
yes. So, Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it's a fun movie. I think now production wise, there's a lot of gaps in the movie. There's certain things like you just got to scratch your head. It's like, how did this happen? Why did they do that? Okay, it's all there, right? It's not the greatest movie, but I take all that with a stride because the characters are great. The characters are really great. You get attached to them. They're phenomenal. When they changed to Shazam powers, and that the actors who they picked who try to act as if who they think that they are as kids, it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It's all I truth be told, there was 2 moments where I got teary eyed. It felt like it was a feel good movie. It was a feel good superhero movie. Kind of like a classic phase 1 Marvel movie. You know what I'm saying? And I enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, I think, is it cinema? I don't think so, but it is something that, aside from all the news with DCEU transitioning into DCU, I think the major reason why people will overlook this film, because when Jordan and I went to a noon showing, it was like
There were
a
like 2 other people there.
dead
Yeah.
theater. Yeah, it was.
And it's a holiday.
It wasn't
on
a lot of
Friday.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I felt like, okay, I wonder, it's more of those new, if it's more of that news of the DCU and James Gunn and all that, like maybe is deterring people away from it, because like, well, what's the point? But like, for what it is, it's a fun movie. I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, it's above average. You're right. The characters kind of carry it. The actors' performances are good. You care about them, and it's not just Billy Batson himself.
Right.
I think they're all pretty interesting. They all kind of have their own little arcs going. Some bigger than others. His friend, his foster brother, the kid with the crutch.
Freddie Freeman.
Freddie, yeah.
Freddie Freeman, yeah.
Honestly, he's the best part of the movie. I would almost guess it was his movie more than Billy Batson's, because like you spend more time with him alone than anyone else, and he's got kind of this whole subplot about like he goes to school, there's these bullies who like beat him up every day. That's still happening, by the way. If you remember in the first movie, the bullies at the school literally attempt to commit homicide and run him over with the truck.
Yeah, heck of violent, dude.
which is a weird thing. I don't know if that happens in real life, but okay. In this one, it's like, yeah, they're committing like assault. Like it's not just like we put I know gum in a textbook or something. No, like they take his crutch, they break it, they punch him in the
gut punch
gut,
him. Yeah.
They're just beating the shit out of this kid. So, but yeah, no, it's fun, and I think that's what carries it. It also does a pretty good job of being a fun sort of fantasy adventure movie, more so than a superhero movie. Because like, I guess it's been like 2 years since the last, like in the movie, it's been like 2 years, and they're like that cave that the wizard is, like they've turned it like the headquarters.
The Rock
they've
of
got
Eternity.
all these like magical artifacts and crap down there that they don't understand. There's like an infinite library. A lot of fantasy stories have this, like an infinite library with all the books. And there's a magical librarian. It's like a little pen, and it communicates by writing.
Named Steve.
Named Steve, and you can talk to it, and it'll like tell you stuff by writing stuff out. And there's like fantasy creatures. They're like horror movie versions of fantasy creatures, but there's ogres and harpies and unicorns. So yeah, it's fun. And there's a fun cameo at the end that isn't just a meaningless end tag. It's actually like it plays a role in the plot, which I thought was a pretty nice way to do that, rather than just like, hey guys, here's Superman at the end of the Black Adam movie in a dark room, and he's just like, we should do something else later. Right? Like that's
right. It's like, oh hey, there's Vulture in prison.
Yeah. There's a reason for this person to show up, and it makes sense within the logic of the movie, right? So yeah, it's pretty good. And I think, if you've got kids, it's a fun family movie. It's kind of a perfect family movie.
I agree.
And if this were just another entry in an ongoing cinematic universe, I think it would be fine. And the only reason I feel like we even need to discuss, like, is it good or not, is because of this weird transitional state. Like, it's clear that, look, HBO, they're strapped for cash a bit because they had some big losses. The DCU wasn't going so well, and now they're sort of rebooting it. And so now everyone's questioning, like, does this movie matter? Does this movie matter? Like, and they're putting all of their marketing budget behind The Flash and essentially none behind anything else, which is a shame. Because this movie, it's fine. If this whole other thing weren't happening, I think people would probably go see this and it would probably make enough money to be fine, right? It's not going to be their biggest earner, but it would be fine. As it is, it's definitely not going to like change anyone's mind about anything. It's not going to like change any directions on anything. It's not setting up for this big change for the DCU the way the Flash apparently is. But it's also not, irrelevant or completely. It doesn't like well, as the director himself said on Twitter, it doesn't contradict anything that they're doing. And there are a couple like there's a little beyond the end of the movie. There's a couple of these little end tags like all superhero movies have these days, and one of them seems like it's setting up to bring Shazam back in the universe. And I won't spoil exactly what they're talking about, but we see some characters from James Gunn's movies and stuff show up. So maybe there is a future there. Who knows, right? Probably depends on how much money it makes. So yeah, I hope it makes enough money to justify them keeping going, because I think the characters work and I think what they're doing works. It's just, and the movie is, fine. And I think there's probably a lot more they could do with this later, after they've sort of rebooted everything and they've got a whole new universe. So yeah, is it cinema? It's not really cinema. It's a popcorn flick is what it is. And it's not trying to be more than that. It really is just saying like, This is a fun popcorn flick. Don't think too hard about it. Cool lightning powers. There's a dragon, right? Like just have fun with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I must say, mad respect to Sexy Stash for making it spoiler free, because I was just going to unleash with the spoilers. But no. So yeah, I think on its own, it's a fun movie. And I would recommend it to all the divorced dads out there who need to take their kids on a weekend to watch a movie. So
wow,
please
that was an
it.
interesting spin to put on it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
It was that literally came from Simon's heart right there. He wished his dad took him to the movies when he was younger. So, moving on.
Yes. Yeah.
Simon doesn't have daddy issues,
little
guys.
vulnerable personal information from Josh about me.
#no filter.
Thank you, Joshua.
That's
fantastic.
Sorry. Next shows in a review. Season finale of Last of Us was just this past week.
Okay.
Did you guys get a chance to watch it?
I haven't yet.
No.
Although I know what happens because apparently it's the same as what happened in the game.
Okay.
I don't know that I have any major thought. Like I've enjoyed, so I'm literally at the second to last episode, so I'll probably watch it sometime this week. I will say I've enjoyed the whole season.
Yeah.
I thought it was good from beginning to end. Genuinely really impressed that they pulled this off, and I think it's better than the game. Like at least in terms of telling the story, it does a better job than the game did. Because it doesn't have to try to make it into a game. You don't have to search for scraps to craft things. You get to just watch the story.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear, Josh, because you haven't played the game, right? You didn't really know much about it going in. So how did this?
Yeah, I knew.
You?
I loved it. I love this take on zombies, and a good zombie show movie genre doesn't always focus on the zombies. It's about the humanity, how humans react, and once the government's gone, there's no structure. How do we act with one another? It's about survival. Not trusting anybody and just kind of getting what needs to be done. Like, what do you do when everyday life is gone, taken away from you? And, this is kind of what we could see with Last of Us. Again, I know nothing about the video game. All I know is after I watch the show, I jump, and this is a plug, but don't go into their site and watch their stuff because they're trash. But Nerdist, I go to Nerdist and watch the follow-up. And they would show.
So Nerdist is trash, but that's the first place you go after watching.
Because you guys come watch us, damn it. You watch us. Stay with us. We're just as good as they are, I swear.
Do you just as good?
Do you watch the videos just to make yourself angry or something?
With 1,000th of its budget, of Nerdist budget, we're just as good.
It's I love this show.
Personality.
I can't wait to go watch Nerdist and see what those assholes think about this. Idiots.
Exactly. Yeah. You know me so well, Jordan.
Right. I hate them. All right, play.
Yeah, so that's what I would do, and I would catch up and learn about Easter eggs and all that. So that was fun to watch. But the last episode, man, it was unbelievable. It was. I mean that in two senses. It was unbelievable. It was a great story, but also it was just um, some of the actions that happened. Uh, I don't want to spoil too much, but this one action scene is almost like a 1980s action sequence where it's like, he's untouchable and he's taking out like
I mean,
hundreds of people, and you're just like, what the hell?
let's just stop here and say do we want to say spoilers for like the next minute? It's like we're
Right.
gonna share some spoilers.
Okay.
Because how do you even talk about this season without spoiling something? So for
Right.
like the next minute
It's
or
already
two,
2 weeks old.
Yeah.
We're in week 2, so it's
Well,
been
also
finished. You guys haven't watched.
the game came out like 8 years ago, so
Right. Right.
yeah.
So thank you, Jordan, for letting me lead into that, because I really want to share in like this scene. It bothered me to a point where like, um, so I forgot the main character's name. The old man, Joel. Thank you, Joel. Finally delivers her to the Fireflies, to be used for a cure or vaccination for this bug. But he gets knocked out because he's mistaken for somebody else. And so when he wakes up, he comes to and he's just like, where is she? Where is she? It's like, thank you for delivering. You did the right thing. She's in surgery right now. They're about to, extract what they need to get the cure. And he goes, surgery? Why don't you just take her blood or something? And for whatever reason, the brain is what has
Yeah.
the cure. I don't remember exactly why. I didn't take the time to think about it.
I think it's the part of the brain that gets infected by the fungus, right? Because remember, it like gets into the nervous system, and so they need to like extract that. They want to study it, yeah.
Right, because like all of these beasts, there's stuff coming out of the head, right? Like they would go blind, and so that makes sense. So he flips out and he's like, no. And he goes like straight 80s Rambo, where he has a pistol and he takes out like 40 armed guards. He takes out the doctor, he takes out the nurses.
Yeah.
And he kills absolutely everyone to rescue her. And I was just like, he couldn't handle one guy in a garage in episode 3. And then all of a sudden now he's taking on 90 people, and he just got stabbed an episode ago.
Right.
And he was on his deathbed. Like, just penicillin is that great and at this time. Anyways, so it's a great ending. I think I get what they're trying to do. I get the point. You're kind of questioning, like, did Joel do the right thing?
Yeah.
Was this is this what she wanted? He never asked her. Right. He just assumed. He took that decision away from her, and now he's lying to her, about the decision he made for her. So you could tell there's gonna be some contention. I don't know what happens in season 2 or Last of Us 2, but I'm assuming this decision is going to affect the relationship, and it's not going to go well. And from what we know so far, season 2 or The Last of Us 2, whatever, is going to be broken into 2 seasons or multiple seasons, whatever. Okay.
I mean that. So yeah, I have heard. So I know the plot of The Last of Us 2, the game. I haven't really played it. It was pretty controversial because what you just said, Josh, him not telling her does have. That's basically what sets off the events of season 2, right? Is some time passes, and then the consequences sort of come home one day, right? And shit, everything goes to shit, basically. And part of the controversy is, it doesn't really, I think about season 2, is it doesn't really make Joel look good, right? Because of because again, and especially in the game, when you're playing him, it's easy to identify with him. And it's easy to think, I've spent 100 goddamn hours in this game protecting this girl, right? So like,
I am
easy.
Joel. I am Joel,
right? Like, so you're like, yeah, hell yeah. And also in the game, and this is one thing that's different, is in the game, since it's a shooter, technically Joel kills like 600 people or something, right? If you like add, if you sum up, well, because you remember you're going through level after level to make it interesting. So he kills like hundreds of people if you actually count it up. As unrealistic as it is, that's what it takes to make a game, right? In the show, it's a lot more grounded and realistic. He's not murdering people left and right. He's not, setting pipe bomb traps and stuff. So like, yeah, I have heard that in the show it's much more jarring because like we've watched this guy be a relatively normal guy for a whole season, and then he just unloads on these people, right? So having not seen it yet, I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I do think I am glad that they committed to the brutality, right? Because that's kind of it's the trolley problem, right? Where it's like he can save this one girl potentially at the cost of the entire human race. Or he can potentially save the entire human race, but lose his daughter, his adopted daughter, essentially, right? And that's not. And I remember there was an interview. God, where did I see this? When they were playtesting the game initially, all those years ago, the playtesters, when they surveyed them, the playtesters who did not have children would be split mostly 50-50 on whether that was the right thing. All the playtesters who had children were like, no, I get it. 100%. They're like, I would do the same thing without hesitation. Not even saying it's right, just saying like, yes, that's what I would do as a parent. Like, so I'm glad they committed to that ending, and I'm interested to see where it'll go with season 2, because I saw something on Twitter where they don't want to, if it works, they don't want to break it. So if there's something about the game story that works, they're not going to change it. But I have heard that like, The Last of Us Part 2, not quite as well received, even by people who liked it. And so it'll be interesting to see, like, are they going to change some more stuff there compared to this season, which was pretty straightforward, like a pretty straightforward adaptation. And bringing it up to 2 seasons kind of makes sense too, because it is a bigger story compared to this one. So yeah, it's interesting to hear, that you found that unbelievable. Because I honestly, I know I have a pretty good idea how I'm going to feel about this. I don't think it would have bothered me that he, just like decided to up and kill like 40 people, because I'm just so used to seeing that in the video games, right? Like it's probably coming from that. I'm like, oh yeah, this is Joel. Like the way I've seen it when watching the series, I'm actually surprised at how subdued he's been. Because like in the game, he doesn't come off like this at all. And in the show, they've really emphasized, it's like, oh, I'm getting older and I can't move as fast and my hearing's shot,
Right.
And I was actually a little surprised at that, even though it does make sense in the world, right? Like, obviously, if you spent like a decade smuggling and like shooting people, like, yeah, you're gonna be beat to hell by that life, right?
Right.
So it's interesting to hear that they just decide to flip the switch on. I don't know. I don't want to make any excuses for it. I should watch it first, but your reaction already tells me I'm probably going to see it differently, just because, like, I have played the game and I believe in video game logic probably a bit more. So
Right. To be fair, though, like they did foreshadow how ruthless he was in the first 2 episodes.
right,
They constantly brought it up about how murderous he was and how of a tough guy and how people feared him.
right,
But like you said, the rest of the show, it's like they're showing how he's deteriorating, how he's just getting older. He's not as quick to the draw as he used to be. He's not as keen to his surroundings like he used to be, because like he got snuck up on while sleeping when he thought he wasn't. He was clever enough to put glass everywhere, but that didn't work.
right.
The girl had to save him because he almost got killed in the garage.
I guess the question is, how much you buy, like, is he really as over the hill as he thinks he is? Or is it mostly in his head and like he's doubting himself and that's why he's not able to like be the man he used to be, right? And in that moment when he sees his daughter, his new adopted daughter, in danger, it's like just a switch flips, right? What are those stories about, like, a mom's baby is trapped into her car and out of nowhere they get the strength to like lift a car, right?
Dominable
Yeah.
maternal strength.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But yeah. So it was a great season. I loved it. The last episode was great, but it was just that scene. Again, I love those kind of shows. I love those kind of movies. I mean, where like just all that, like the superhero. Like Rock would have been great in the early '90s, right?
Hmm.
Because that's what he is now. But like we're past that. You know, we want more grounded characters. You
Right.
know, we don't want these crazy overpowered people. But like the early '90s, late 2000s, or early 2000s, like dude, we wanted that one character that never lost, that always won, that came up on top.
That was
And
the
so
zeitgeist.
this was,
Yeah.
yeah, this is kind of like what happened, but uh, it worked though because all season he's just getting his butt kicked. All
Mm.
season he's put himself in the wrong place, but then he's driven by love, and you know, he goes bananas. Like he really just goes bananas, dude. And like his bananas isn't like crying, going ah. He's just like stone face. He's like, boom, you're dead. Boom, you're dead. Like
So
he's processing everything he's doing. It's not blind. He's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Boom, boom. He walks up to someone, just boom, kills him. He's just nuts, dude. And he ends up killing one of the characters you sympathize for. You're like, oh, she means a lot. Like she has you know, a story to why she's doing this.
right.
And you can see she cares, but she sees the greater cause, and he's just like, no. Boom. It's just like, what the hell?
So
But yeah.
I did hear a little bit about that. Because yeah, that's in the game. It's like it's a real. Again, it's a game. So that's like, oh, it's a fight. Like it's a real fight. You got to clear rooms, get through them. Right. It's not that easy. So I heard a review where someone said, yeah, it's like the biggest difference is that in the show, unlike in the game where like you're the player and you probably die a few times during that level before you get to the end of it. In the show, it's like, no, he just walks through and just like murders people like a goddamn Terminator. And it just makes it seem even more ruthless and brutal and horrible than the game was because it's just so mechanical. Like he's just like killing people. Like he's decided this is what he's going to do. So he just goes and he does it, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, it's nuts, dude. And it's just like, yeah, he wasn't like this the whole show, and then you finally see like the demon come out of him, you know, like he made a decision and he's going all for it. Like he's all in, and
right.
he's yeah.
This is kind of what I meant in our last Mandalorian show. I was like, yeah, like in The Last of Us, like when someone decides that one thing is the most important thing, more important than anything else in the world, they can justify any action, and that's exactly what that
Right.
scene is. Is like, because yeah, does he have to kill all those people? Not necessarily, right? He
But he
doesn't.
did.
He doesn't care, right?
Yeah.
So, but he doesn't feel bad about it, at least not in the moment, because he's like, no, she's the most important thing, so that's what I got to do, you know?
That's a good point, because in the moment he knows what he's doing and he doesn't feel bad.
Yeah,
But when he's talking to her and she's adding everything up,
right.
you could tell like his character changes.
Yeah,
Before he was like, shut up and follow me, like follow suit, like, and then he became like, I care for you, so shut up and follow what to say. You know what I mean? And then now he's just like, well, now we could do whatever we want together. I could spend time with you. Let's go hang out. We can do what we want. And he's really trying to like buy her love by
right.
Killing 40 people.
well, no, by saying we could do what we want now. Before he was just
By
like
killing 40
we can
people.
survive. Right. And so he's trying to justify it in his head, but he's you could see he's understanding what he did was wrong.
Yeah,
And she's just like,
and
is that what really happened? Tell me the
She knows
truth.
something is
Yeah.
wrong.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Because like he blames some outsiders that came and raided everything. And she's like, but no one survived? How did I survive? He goes, well, I came in there, I grabbed you, I just ran out. And she's like, well, can we go back and see if anyone survived? She goes, he's like, no one survived. Not one person survived. She's like, well, how do you know that?
yeah.
Because I killed them, you idiot.
Because I killed everyone. Yeah.
Man. Do you think?
But watch it. It was great, guys.
What you said about the hero archetype, I feel like Pedro Pascal has, because I do want to, like, I don't want to say type. I mean, it kind of typecast a little bit with between the Mandalorian and The Last of Us, and but even in other roles, he had like on Narcos, where he would play characters who really, really want to be heroic, but like they're not as badass as like everyone else, and the world they exist in is way more cynical than they are, right? And so they try, but ultimately they feel like they're always kind of like failing, or at least it's like they never really get a clean win. And I feel like Pedro Pascal has kind of built a career now on like playing that kind of character, that very low key, reserved. Like in The Mandalorian, his entire performance is so deadpan, which is what it should be, right? But like these heroes who aren't super outspoken or courageous, but like they're much more guarded and uncertain about themselves. Do you feel like that's like something he's perfected a little bit? Like I feel like that's a different archetype from most people wouldn't call him an action hero, but at this point I feel like he kind of is. Like he's done enough of that kind of stuff that he could
Right.
earn that title.
He's like a grounded hero, right? Like he's what we all would be if we had
Right.
if we were put in those situations, you know?
Right.
We'd be
He's
like, well, we're just gonna survive. Like I'm not looking out for everybody. I'm only looking out for you.
Right.
You know, these people might be innocent, but you're my priority. And so and we'll be afraid, we'll be scared, we wouldn't know what to do. Like in Mandalorian, the beginning it's just a job,
Right.
and then he's going to pass it off and once he's done with the job, he can move on. And then throughout the 2 seasons, he cares for this thing, and now it's a relationship, right? And like same thing in Last of Us. It was just a task, and then someone he loved was killed, and he was forced to do this, but he knew this was, or she knew in her dying breath or dying moment, that this was going to shape him to the man he needs to be. And so he took that, ran with it, and made a decision to be a different man she wanted him to be. Like he took it to the extreme. Right. But he tapped into something that he knew he was before, and he used that to get the job done for what he thought he was right. Same with the Mandalorian.
Right.
The Mandalorian taps into something in the moment where he needs to be the man he needs to be at that moment. And I think that's in 2023, that is what heroism now is. Like we're gonna do what we need to do, and then when we need to tap into that person to get the job done. Like it's not like Superman anymore, where he looks out for the greater good for everybody and it's fair. It's just for us and this person that we care about, or our task. So
I mean,
we'll stop rambling now.
No, that idea of tapping into that, like you've got this archetype, this idea of like, well, here's a role I could play, the role of a hero, but I can't do it all the time. No human being could, right? And so like they can tap into it. Yeah, they can turn it on when they need to, right? And be like the ultimate badass or whatever. But then like once they're done being an ultimate badass, then like they as normal human beings have to live with the memories of the stuff that they did, which might be incredibly traumatizing, right? So
yeah, not like Vin Diesel, where he's just like, it's for family.
It's for family, yeah. And then they just get to go and have a barbecue afterwards, and
Yep, exactly.
invite everybody over.
Right, they know they killed like thousands of people. Hey, this is what it's all about: family. We care for each other.
All right.
But all right, so I think we could go on for days for Last of Us. There's so much to tap into, but that was our review of the last season finale. And we have our own Simon Yu, who wants to talk about Ted Lasso. I didn't even know it was season 3, dude. I thought it was season 2.
Yep. No.
Wow, I'm behind. So I have not watched one episode of Ted Lasso.
Me neither.
I've seen reels everywhere, and it looks great. It looks fantastic. It's very like moral driven from what I've seen, and he tells like great stories to get to motivate. So this is like my kind of show. I think I like. But Simon, season 3, take it away.
Yeah, so this last Wednesday was the season premiere of the 3rd season of Ted Lasso, and let me just say the first 2 seasons are amazing. It is a feel-good show. It's definitely emphasizing that in the first one. So Ted Lasso is an American football coach, and he applies basically for a European football coach job over in the UK, and it's like a failing soccer team. But the reason why is it, anyways, like what he's famous for is he uses unconventional methods of leadership to like lift people up. And so like in the beginning they saw like how really encouraging he is in his team. He one of his values is he doesn't use negative psychology to motivate people. It's always positive. And he's basically a Ned Flanders character. Like he has these quips all the time, and like he always wants to make people to feel like good about themselves and stuff. For example, like in the first season, the owner of the team is this beautiful woman, and I forgot her name in the show, but like but she hires him in spite because she was recently divorced at the time from this like soccer professional star who basically like cheated on her with a younger woman and all that. And like she just wants and this was his dream because this was his old team, right? This football team. She just wants to destroy this team. And so that's like her whole motivation in the first season. It doesn't phase Ted Lasso. And so it's just like every morning where he meets with her, gives like shortbread cookies. Like he learned how to make shortbread cookies, which is like a cookie that she was fond of as a child. Like he just wants to. Anyways, he's that kind of person, and it annoyed the heck out of her. But then finally, like this was what really kind of kicked me. Is like I got to watch this show now from here on out. So in the first season, she starts to soften up. She starts to soften her heart, and she finally admits to Ted Lasso, like, the reason why I hired you is for you to be a joke, is for you to just destroy this team and all this and that. Like, I hated my ex-husband so much. I wanted to hire you to just make this an embarrassment of a team, right? And in that moment, one could say, well, you would imagine it's like, well, F you, how dare you do this? How dare like he genuinely just forgives her. And it's just this beautiful, real moment of just like, wow, like the expectation is to justifiably say, hey, why'd you do that? Or like the sense of betrayal. You get all that, but he stands above it. And like you see just her changing because of his choice to forgive her. And just that's the kind of person he is. Now, the second season is just like, okay, just imagine if you had a friend like that who does this 24/7, right? It'll annoy the hell out of you. You know what I'm saying? And then we get to see in the second season kind of like his personal baggage. So like there's a positive aspect of who he is, right? And like you see that with him mending relationships or uplifting relationships. But then the negative side of just having that on all the time, it comes from a deficiency. It comes from trauma. It comes from a dad relationship, like just this poor parent relationship that he had growing up. And so he has to deal with that with a psychiatrist or a therapist. And that gets like, and he hates it, right? But like you see him struggle with that. And you get to see, okay, it's not a sugar-coated show. It's not a Ned Flanders constantly. There is negative aspects to this kind of attitude. And it does affect loved ones. It does affect those closest to him. And so he's separated with his wife, and that's one of the reasons why he actually goes to Europe, just to give her space and stuff like that. But he's always clinging onto the hope that they'll get back together again, and like he struggles with that, right? So what we see is like this development of kind of like a somewhat flat character in the first season, but like an endearing character. But then like you actually see like what it's really like dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, like all these other people like get better and become better. Like there's this real douche of a soccer player named Jamie, and like you just hate the guy, but then you finally realize why you hate the guy, and like how his dad beats him like when he was a kid, and like the only love of his life was his mom, and that encouraged him to become a professional soccer player, because like before she passed, he gave him a soccer cleats, and like that's what kept him going. But the dad uses it to get free tickets to go to professional soccer games with his mates and stuff like that. And it's just like you just see like, oh shoot, I understand why he's a jerk. I understand why he acts this way. And then like, anyways, um, in season 3, we finally see like there was this kind of guy who was very sheltered, and he was really shy. He's like the equipment manager of the team before, and he was really nurtured by Ted Lasso, like a father figure. And then like in the last season, this guy, his name is Nate Shelley, felt betrayed by Ted Lasso. And so he like resents him now. He goes now to the team that the ex-wife's husband owns. Like I think it's I forgot it's like this elite team. Anyways, and he gets hired as the head coach there. And so what we see in season 3 is kind of like them like duking it out now. Like Nate Shelley wants to like go like one up on Ted Lasso. It's like, I'm the better coach than you. Like, you have no idea how to coach. You don't even know what soccer is, you know, what European football is. How dare you, this and that. And like Ted Lasso, what we'll see is him dealing with how to deal with that, right? And the first episode is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Like there was in the last scene, there was both coaches, Nate coaching at the other team and Ted Lasso, they have like a Q&A with journalists, and like Nate excoriates him, like is like, because he excoriates him because like Ted Lasso takes his team to like a sewer facility, and like just to help them like get out of this funk that they're going to be the last team in the season and stuff like that. And everyone was laughing at him, and Nate uses it and is like, yeah, no wonder this, that, and this, that. And like Ted Lasso is like, hey, you know what? Nate is a great guy. He's a genius. He really helped our team, and I really hope that he'll succeed. And like he just really compliments him, and then he turns it around and then like makes fun of himself, and everyone loves it and stuff like that. But it's just that kind of character is just really heartwarming and endearing, and they don't sugarcoat it. It's like this real kind of character, and I highly recommend it and for everyone to watch it. So
thank you for recapping the entirety of season 1 and 2.
I couldn't help myself. I really couldn't help myself. You should have just, whenever that happens again, you just got to stop me, because I
didn't want to stop. You just seemed like you were in your happy place, and
yeah, you're gleaming from ear to ear when you were saying this, and it was like ruining a child who's like, Dad, guess what? Dad, guess what? And it's like, go ahead. You don't want to hear it, but you're like, go ahead, get it out of your system.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Because you ask a simple question, how was your day? And then they just go on forever.
And
like,
then,
I just want to know how your day was,
and
man.
then, yeah.
Yeah, we just want to know about season 3, episode 1, dude. That's it.
Yeah, was it good?
It was great.
Everything. So with that, guys, thank you for watching Secret Hideout podcast. We appreciate it. Thanks to Simon. We're running this short. No, I'm just kidding. No, that was really good. So you suggest watching it, Simon?
I do, but like, I guess one of the reasons why I rambled on is because like if you watched the first episode without 2 and 1, you wouldn't understand the dynamic, like what's going on with this new with this head coach, this other team, and stuff like that. So I wanted to provide context. But
important takeaway for people like me and Josh then, because I didn't have Apple TV Plus or whatever it's called.
Right.
And that's the only reason. I've heard a lot about it, but I'm like, I'm not buying this whole thing for one show. There's more shows on there now that I like Mythic Quest, right?
Mythic Quest.
Yeah. So I may as well watch this now, and I will get caught up. But so it sounds like definitely watch the first 2 seasons first.
Yes.
Otherwise, I wouldn't
100%.
know what the hell's going on, basically.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's a first. I mean, I don't know anybody that creates chronological order seasons, so a little disappointed in that. Yeah, of course, I know, Simon. We watched season 1 first before you watch season 3.
No, but sometimes like I would imagine like Poker Face, like you could just fall into it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like if you watch.
All right, guys. So Rumor on the Street.
I often tell people to skip the first season of some shows because like the first season's okay, but it's really season 2.
Like,
right?
Good point. Like Star Wars Rebels, right? Like it wasn't great the first season, Josh, right? So
no, I like Star Wars Rebels the first season.
Did you really? I thought it was so slow. But anyways,
you needed it.
Ted Lasso, go for it. Please watch it. I think you got to watch for seasons 1 and 2 to just get because they really draw the character development out. So, and when you get to season 3, it's like, oh,
You said you were done, Simon. You said you were done.
I can talk about Ted
We
Lasso.
gave you 15 minutes on that.
Ever. Was it 15 minutes? Okay, I'm done.
Zack Snyder tweeted something, guys.
Yes, that's right. Let's talk about
what's the word
that.
on the street, Jordan? What's the word on the street?
Or Jive Talk.
So Zack Snyder tweeted a quote-unquote message from Darkseid. Ooh. There were 3 dates. What was it? The 20th, 29th, 30th of April. It doesn't specifically say what it is, but there were 3 movies, I guess, in the Zack Snyder verse his trilogy. So everyone on the internet is now talking about Snyder-Con, basically.
Right.
I assume it has something to do with that. They're going to screen these or something, right? But it's just interesting to see that. I mean, honestly, I thought Snyder was done. He was moving on to Netflix to make his Weird Moon movie or whatever.
Right.
Sounds like at the very least, even if he's not interested in directing more of these types of movies, he at least, wants to keep interest in the ones he did make alive. And clearly that's something he's willing to put time and potentially money into, because I have no idea who's paying for this. It can't be HBO. It can't be Time Warner.
Right.
But that's too, I don't know. I really don't care that much about these movies. I don't really like any of them. Like Man of Steel is a fine movie. I just
great movie.
Yeah, I just don't like it, but there's nothing like fundamentally wrong with it. Like I can watch it, it's not bad. The other 2 are, in my opinion, well, that's not true. His Justice League, his 4.5 hour mega cut of Justice League is actually very interesting. Even the stuff that I think doesn't really work is still super interesting to watch because it's just so bananas. But yeah, I mean, obviously this isn't something I would care to see, but I don't know, Josh, you're the Zack Snyder super fan here. Are you excited?
So that's a fair point. I think I do a lot of fighting for Zack Snyder, but at the end of the day, like, I wouldn't say they're great movies, but he did a lot of great things in those movies, things you never seen before other than video games. Like that Superman fight scene with Zod in the city where he just levels Metropolis. That's things you only seen in like the animated show series. And we were like, we never would thought that they would do that. They never did that in any of the other movies, right? Or anywhere else other than animation. So Zack Snyder brought out the fanboy in me when he did that. And then he made it real. Like, these guys cost billions of dollars worth of damage. And, Batman was that person to try to seek vengeance for that. And so Ben Affleck is one of my favorite Batmans so far. He is the old angry type Batman. I don't like Joss Whedon's version of Batman in Justice League, just so you guys know. But I understand where Batman was going. It was dumb and lame. Martha, why'd you say her name? That was dumb. That didn't make no sense. And I like the realistic aspect of Batman being totally pointless when it comes to fighting a character like Doomsday. And Zack Snyder did a great job. Like, oh crap, yeah, I'm just a guy in a suit. I need to retreat.
I'm gonna hide in the rubble here.
I spent like the whole year preparing to fight Superman specifically. This whole other situation.
This demon monster. Who only gets more powerful the more you kill him.
I'm gonna get my bat shotgun and just wait for you guys out here.
Yeah. I'm here for logistical support, guys. Just let me know what you need. I'll help you out.
I respected that though, right? I respected that Zack Snyder made that point. And so my favorite Batman scene in all comic book shows or any scene in any comic book movie is Batman taking out those thugs in the warehouse to save Superman's Martha. That was just an amazing fight scene. It brought me back to Batman Arkham Knights, the whole Arkham series, what he fought. It was just freaking great. Now I feel like Simon because I rambled and I don't remember what my point was.
So I guess what we're saying is, are we excited? I mean, I'm not excited about this. Josh, are you excited? I feel like you're the target audience for this, not me.
I'm confused. Okay, so I don't know what this is for. I know there was speculation a couple months ago. We talked about it where Netflix might pick up. There was rumors that Netflix might pick up the series, and we just debunked.
It was
We thought we
nothing but a
debunked it. We
rumor.
thought it made no sense,
Yeah, it was
huh?
nothing but a rumor though. Like that was never gonna happen.
Wait, but this is weird though. Like, why would he make this point with Dark Side if it's not going to be on
Money,
a
money, money, money,
platform?
money, 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 money.
Well, he has a series coming on Netflix. Uh, a whole what is that?
It's a dog. It's
Yeah,
probably
it's fine.
Simon's dog because I don't have one.
He's
dog.
probably screaming because he's wearing some damn
Yeah, what
sweater
did you dress him in
and
today,
it's like
Simon?
98 degrees.
He's an Eskimo right now. So
So I'm wondering why is he doing this? And he has something coming out on Netflix. He has his own
Rebel Moon.
world, yeah, his own thing coming on. So and then that is like a trilogy too. It's not just a one off. It's a whole series of things. So is he getting ready to revamp his uh, Snyderverse on another
No,
platform? Because I don't think James Gunn's going to do
no,
anything.
I don't think it's. Yeah, they're not putting that. I think either it's some sort of special event either on HBO Max. Maybe there's I don't know commentaries, content, something like that. You know, I feel like if he released these movies with like fresh commentary from himself and maybe other people involved, that might be interesting. Or
Hmm.
it's like a limited release in theaters where like, oh, you can go see these on a big screen because he never
Uh,
because his version of Justice League never got on the big screen.
that's
And
right.
again, I'm not a Zack Snyder fan. I don't think his Justice League is like a good movie in an objective sense, but if someone put that on a big screen and they split it up in a way with like, because it's like 4 hours, and they split it up in a way that made it watchable, I might be interested. Just because again, it's just visually so insane.
Right.
Like the stuff you see in his cut, like it's just bananas. Some of it when you look at it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
could see that.
Stephen Wolf looks a thousand times better
Right.
in the Snyderverse. The backstories of all these characters are well developed. Right? They're not great, but they're better than
Right.
what they were in Justice League. Like Cyborg, Flash, not too much Aquaman, but definitely Cyborg and Flash. Right? We're definitely built up in this world to be bigger than what they are or what they became. So I'm excited. I'm very curious. I think Zack Snyder is doing a great job of using his fans. He has a strong fan base, right? A very strong fan base that to make HBO show the Snyderverse version or of Justice League. And you're muted, Simon. But yeah, so I'm curious and confused at the same time.
I'm I saw this on some YouTube video that was suggested in the algorithm, and basically the guy was suggesting these dates are for a Snyder-Con, and so the idea is that it would be a limited premiere of probably the 4-hour Snyder cut, but what would sweeten the deal is a personal commentary of Zack Snyder in person.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like he'll be there and he'll talk with the fans
Do a
and all this
Q&A
and
or
that.
something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. My guess is like you said, he'll break up the movie into 3 parts because like it would be like an
Mm.
hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half or hour whatever, and like and then after it
So instead of his
he'll be
three
up there.
movies, it's just Zack Snyder's Justice League
I that's my guess.
over 3
That's
days.
my
Yeah.
guess. Exactly. That's my guess.
I mean, yeah.
And that yeah. So I think that's what's going to happen. And the reason why I commented money, 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 money is because you're right. He has a loyal fan base. They probably are hoping that he'll do more. And then this is marketing. Hey, there might be some kind of incentive, but please pay $200 to come into the theater kind of
Right.
thing, And so that's what I think is going to happen.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there proof of a con coming out? Because what was he gonna do? Just talk about Justice League the whole time?
I just call it that because the guy called it that. So, but I thought that makes sense because it's basically a place where people convene together around Zack Snyder to hear Zack Snyder just talk about his Snyder
Can
Cut.
I hear why that makes sense to you? Because I felt you just said that and you didn't think about it. How does that make sense to have a Snyder-Con about just Justice League?
I think what it is because there was no personal director commentary as of yet, and I think there's fans that actually want to hear his method, or just hear maybe there'll be some exclusive news or things, like I think there's fans out there like that, and so and I think that's what he's trying to market right now.
Okay, because like I think about commentary, and I'm thinking he's gonna have to stop at certain points and then talk for like 15, 20 minutes about something, and then play, and then stop and
Yeah.
commentary, and then play. That just sounds very long.
So
That could be yeah.
from
Go ahead,
a looking at it from Zack Snyder's perspective, I feel like the motivation for him of something like this would be he gets to show it on a big screen. He made this film for a big screen. He made it in this 4:3 format, right? Which is a little bit, basically it's smaller on your typical television, right? So for him to finally get it on a big screen the way it was, originally designed to be seen, I think that would be a huge motivator for him. I think that's why it would make sense for him to do it. And for Warner Brothers, I think it would make sense to be like, hey, like, we want to keep him happy, right? We don't want to burn any bridges. And if we can continue to generate some revenue from this thing that costs us a bajillion goddamn dollars with all the reshoots, great, right? Let's do that. So the only thing about it that's weird to me is, like, I'll be honest, like, if I were an executive at Warner Bros., Gunn and Zaslav had to sign off on this, right? Right. That's the one downside is, like, look, they've already got the Batman and its like world over there. The last thing they need while starting up their new DCU is a bunch of other DCUs simultaneously happening. So that would be my only concern here is, like, what was it Gunn said? It was an interview or a tweet where he said, yeah, like when he first took the jobs, like they would just hand an IP out everywhere. So like to anybody,
Right.
like, so I'm like, I hope they don't keep doing that over the heads of Gunn and Zaslav. And I hope that's not what's happening here. I'm going to assume it's not. I'm going to assume Gunn and Zaslav at least had veto power. Like they could have stopped this if they really wanted to, but maybe they're fine with it. Right. So that's the only thing that's weird about it that doesn't make sense to me from just like a brand strategy perspective. Like, why would Time Warner want to let, Snyder do
Right.
this? Like, how do they benefit? And the only thing I can think of is, money. If they can continually show this in some sort of special exhibition thing and people are willing to go and pay like some special, like $60 ticket price or something, then they're probably fine with that. They've got this content sitting around. They may as well get something out of it.
Use it. Yeah, because like if it's something new, a new story or something, it's just gonna hurt their brand more that it has to compete with
Yeah.
what Gunn's gonna do.
This is what sank them in the first place. They just kept like handing stuff off to different directors, doing different things. Like, you
Right.
can't keep doing that. All right.
So, yeah, let's stick with DC, and some crazy news just came out today. Jordan, I know you have a passion for this, and Mr. Cruz, he asked and requested to watch the Flash movie, and he loved it.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about this. So a little context here is apparently Tom Cruise was meeting with Zaslav, someone at Warner Brothers, and they mentioned, oh yeah, this movie's testing really well, and Tom Cruise was like, oh yeah, can I see it? And they sent a Blu-ray to his house. So I want to talk about the two reasons. One, apparently Tom Cruise liked it, and it's the kind of movie he likes, which means, there's a lot of positive buzz. So it's probably pretty damn good. But also it's
Right.
like, we know what kind of, cinematic experience Tom Cruise cares about, which is big, incredibly technically impressive, right? Just knock your socks off action cinema. So that's probably what, we should expect to see. Not that surprising. But the other thing I want to talk about is how amazing must it be to be Tom Cruise? You can just go to Warner and say, hey, can I see that Flash movie you guys are working on? And they're like, sure. And they sent a DVD. He didn't have to go there and watch it in like one of their screening rooms or something. They sent a DVD to his fucking house, and he watched it in the comfort of his own home, sitting on his couch on his own television. Wow. So
Okay.
Yeah.
that's just
Okay,
amazing
first of
to
all,
me.
First of all, I'm sure it was like, I really hope it was like a secure delivery. Like they had a guy from the studio hand deliver it to Tom Cruise. I really hope it wasn't like a FedEx or a UPS or USPS thing, right?
Let's talk about that for a second. Because I actually, this has happened before. There was, so I know of the fiasco around when, was it X-Men Origins Wolverine? Remember that? So like the worst superhero movie of all time. How it leaked like months before it released. It had like a working print that got leaked. You know, you guys heard about that, right? At the time, it was like the biggest news in entertainment.
Wow.
So it got leaked on the internet, and presumably a bunch of people got fired. And at the time, they were very circumspect about like what actually happened. It turns out, based on all the available information that there is, what happened is who's the guy, the Australian guy who founded Fox, and I think he still owned Fox Studios.
Rupert Murdoch?
Murdoch, yeah. Murdoch said he wanted to see it. And they're like, oh, well, you can come see it. He's like, well, I want you to send it to me. Because he's like on a freaking private jet halfway between Australia and America or something, right? He's Rupert Murdoch. So they go back and said, look, Rupert Murdoch says he wants to see it, put it on DVD. I'm like, but what if it like leaks or something? It's Rupert Murdoch owns the company, so put it on a DVD and we're going to send it to him, right? So some guy had to pull a work print off a hard drive over there, right? Like some half-finished thing, and send it to him. And as far as anyone knows, he never even actually watched it. But that DVD ended up in somebody's hands during this process because it got, passed to this person, that person. And one of those people uploaded it to the internet. And that's how it got leaked. So like, this is why I'm so surprised that they would take this movie that's got so much buzz everyone's freaking out about and risk a leak happening by actually creating a copy of it and sending it out of the studio, like off of the grounds out into the world.
Zaslav hand delivered it to Cruise and watched it with him.
Yeah.
That has to have been it.
Basically, when Tom Cruise walks into your studio and says, I want to see this movie, can you send me a DVD? You do it, apparently. You don't even, you don't question him. you say, yes, I will be there. I will show up in a chauffeured limo and I will hand it to you on a silver platter. So you can watch
wearing
it
white gloves.
You're Tom Cruise, and that's just what you get to do. You're the king of Hollywood or whatever, and you can just do that.
Golly, man.
So yeah, that's amazing, and it's hilarious at the same time. It also gets me a little bit more excited about The Flash, which I was not excited for at all. But like James Gunn has said it, now Tom Cruise has said it. Everyone thinks this is like an amazing movie. The trailer looks great. I can't wait for it to come out now. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm just amazed that Tom Cruise would want to watch it. Right. I think my assumption is that he just doesn't care for a movie if it's not him. If he's not in it, if he didn't have something to do with it, he doesn't want to see it. They don't exist. That's my opinion of him. But the fact that he loved it, he had the time, and he took the time to give it kudos and say it's a great movie. Yeah, dude, Warner Brothers is about to make $1 billion this summer, and they're going to make a killing. Marvel has seriously some competition, because I think after this movie, that director is going to be blowing up and going to be asked to do so many projects for James Gunn. He's going to be the backbone. He's going to be what Russo brothers was for Kevin Feige, I think, if it's that big.
That's a great point. So obviously we've been focused a lot on like James Gunn, he's writing Superman and he's going to direct it and which things are coming out. But like, that's just the first phase, right? Long term, the success of this depends on Gunn being able to like delegate stuff out. And it's pretty clear he's already like, some of what's happening here is clearly Gunn knows who he wants in his stable, and clearly he wants Muschietti in his stable, right? That's the director. And so he's talking up this movie because he clearly likes it. And they're putting marketing behind it. They want to keep this guy happy and they want him on their team, right? So that he can keep making movies for them, whether it's Flash movies or something else, who knows? So yeah, that's a good point. Also, to follow up on that, Josh, yeah, I'm a little bit more charitable. I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise watches at least some movies he's not in. But he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who reads comic books, and I'm genuinely shocked he would want to see a superhero movie.
I was too. Yep. I was too.
I
Yeah.
feel like he just like listens to Bruce Springsteen all day and like, like these, just like jeans and black t-shirts and shades, and he rides around on a motorcycle, and he's just like, he's too much of a classical cool guy to want to see a superhero movie, right? But apparently it's so good that even he wants to see this. So, but yeah, it's a good point. They are probably, Gunn is probably thinking ahead a little bit here, right, and making sure that like the people he
Right.
wants to work with are going to be ready for when he needs them.
Yeah, he cannot deny what Kevin Feige did with Marvel in the first three phases. Like Kevin Feige did a great thing. He kept those directors close and gave them very important properties, and let them handle what they needed to handle. I mean, the Russo brothers did 4 of 5 of the greatest movies for Marvel. They did
Yeah.
Captain America: Winter Soldier, Civil War, and then or 2 of the Avenger Endgame and Infinity War.
Right.
Those are huge movies. Those brought in a lot of money and kind of flipped the whole series in itself, or the whole studio in itself, to the phase that it was a great. So yeah, James Gunn, I think, is going to really use this guy to set up, because we only know half of the phase, by the way.
Right.
This is only like a quarter or a half of what's actually coming out.
That's the stuff that's certain enough that they feel good announcing it. There's probably a
Right.
lot of other stuff because they already announced like they're doing Wonder Woman animation, so that's happening, right? So yeah, there's going to be more stuff rolling out as it goes, and potentially some of these directors like Muschietti will have a hand in helping shape it, right? Rather than just being assigned to a movie, they might actually be part of the process.
Yeah. And so one thing we did learn recently about James Gunn and his whole direction and what he wants to do with his movies, and it didn't come from James Gunn; it actually came from Ben Affleck. He decided,
Yeah.
after all the rumors we've heard, and I swore there was rumors going out there
Yeah.
about him directing the Batman, the Brave and the
Not
Bold,
just
but
rumors. I think Gunn did say like, "Oh yeah, we're talking to him,
yeah,
and he wants to be involved."
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, he did. They did say they were talking, and then out of nowhere, Ben Affleck's like in the Hollywood Report, like, "Nah,
Nah.
I'm not doing it. It was so bad. My experience with WB was so bad." James Gunn, or not James Gunn, Joss Whedon, Simon's other second nutsucker
I do
director he
not like Joss
loves.
Whedon.
You always love Joss
I
Whedon.
did
Be quiet.
I did
You
not. I mean,
swore
I
by
did
him, dude.
initially with Sarah Michelle Gellar at Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but then
And Avengers, you're like, oh, that's amazing. And then
you didn't
Firefly,
think Avengers was amazing.
Firefly.
Firefly was
Um,
great. Firefly was a good
exactly.
show.
See,
But
everyone see this now? The nutsucker's coming out of Simon right now.
so me enjoying a show,
No, you loved Joss Whedon. You swore by
I
him.
don't think I loved him. Anyways, continue.
No, we're gonna fight. This is our thing.
Simon,
This is our
he's
shtick,
baiting
Simon.
you, man. You're just making it worse.
I do not wish to derail this. Please continue with that.
This is what he
Fleck.
wants.
No, but there's a lengthy article here of Ben Affleck just going deep into his life and talking about everything he's ever done, from him being, was it 16, about 16 years ago, working on my favorite movie,
Goodwill Hunting.
Waiting for Guffman.
Oh.
No, yeah, Goodwill Hunting.
You say Waiting for Guffman?
Yeah, that's a great movie too. No, Goodwill Hunting, and being successful and winning an Emmy or a Grammy, whatever it was at that age, and then continue to work through things and starting his own company. And then we finally get to the juicy stuff: his experience with Justice League and his experience working with DC, and how it left a sour note in his mouth. And he didn't have great things to say about Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Said that ruined his experience, the unprofessionalness.
He talked a lot about the experience on Justice League, although I also get the feeling from a lot of his complaints that even if he liked working with like Zack Snyder, just the process of making a superhero movie was maybe just not for him, right? Because he talks about like, oh, you got to put on the rubber suit and you're standing in front of green screens, blah, 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 right? It's something I think we've heard a lot from a lot of actors who've done that, where even if they like the role and it was good for their career and stuff, like once they're done with it, they're kind of happy to move on. I mean,
Well, don't forget he did Daredevil in the early 2000s, so he understood what he was getting himself, and that suit was butt tight as well.
True, true. And I think I read somewhere like he had a bad experience with Daredevil, and so he stayed away from the genre. And I guess Snyder was able to talk him into it. And so now he feels like he's been burned again. He's like, all right, that's it. I can't keep doing this, right? So you mentioned, yeah, it's the Hollywood Reporter. It's actually a pretty lengthy interview with Rebecca Keegan. And yeah, this is like one small part of it. He talks about so much other stuff. He talks about his marriage with like Jennifer Lopez. He talks about like his new production company, Air, this movie they're making about Air Jordans and how they got Jordan to sign a contract, which I think that tells you a lot. That's the kind of movie he wants to make, like Air Argo, right? The Town, like the either crime thrillers or like historical docudramas about, like set in like the 90s or the 80s or something where it's like a period piece, right? But yeah, I think what's most interesting to me about this is he does say nice things about Gunn, but the internet would basically took like that one or two sentences and be like, this is and interpret that as Ben Affleck doesn't like the way James Gunn makes movies, doesn't want to work with him, right? And just like and that's what I've seen all over the internet. It's like he literally just says like, no, I think he's a nice guy and I wish him the best. I just don't want to make those kinds of movies. And that's funny to me because in this very interview, he talks about how whenever he says stuff online, like he doesn't like giving interviews because whenever he says stuff, people pick pieces out and blow it out.
Misconstrue it.
Yeah. And that's just hilarious to me that he talks about it at length in here. And then what happens the very next day, everyone's like, Ben Affleck hates James Gunn. Like that's the news story. So yeah, I think this is interesting though. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, for selfish reasons, I'm not sad about this. He's a good director and I think he could make some good movies and he's a good actor. I don't really need to see him make Batman. I just don't, I mean, clearly that's not the tone they're going for. And this also leaves the door open for my personal favorite pick, which is Martin Campbell. I've told you guys that before. If they pick Martin Campbell to make The Brave and the Bold, I can die a happy man because that's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. I want the guy who made Casino Royale and Zorro to make a Batman movie, right? Because that is it. That is the sweet spot for me. I want to see that. So I've still got my fingers crossed. I'm hoping this happens. I'm going to start tweeting James Gunn. I'm just going to start spamming him. Like, can you just hire Martin Campbell? Because apparently he reads these tweets that people send him.
Yeah.
Dude,
you have a better shot doing that. Yeah,
no, you should totally do it. And then if he responds to you, then we can actually promote
Bring it up.
Yeah, we can bring it up.
Content.
Yeah, we could have legit content. We'll have 5 subscribers and 1 million views in one video.
Yes, it's like an Ouroboros of content. We generate the content so we can comment on the content.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know how to fathom that.
See, we know how to do it. We know how to do it.
Please do it.
Go for it. I think I'm happy that I get to see Ben Affleck in one more Batman movie because technically it's Batman, not Flash. And so, and he talks about how he finally found his niche for Batman
in this one movie in this small role
in his last movie. Yeah.
See, that's I think what bothers him is like because what in the arc he talks about something like, oh yeah, watch out for the the nuclear explosion or whatever, right? Like so much of those movies is just standing around being like, watch out, look at that, right? And you don't get time to really develop that character because I think he is good as Batman. He's not like my favorite Batman, but to be fair, how much time on screen has he actually gotten to like be Bruce Wayne and act, right? Rather than just being in the costume and running around, right? Or standing, or not even him, a CG stand-in, right? Right. Compare that to like the Burton Batman movies where we got to see quite a bit of Bruce Wayne and we got to see a lot of like real acting outside of the Batman costume. And yeah, I think he did kind of get the short end of the stick there, right? Because he took the role, but the movies he was in were just like these massive, bombastic movies that just weren't the best place to develop a character. And Josh, you pointed this out. there's points in that movie where just the entire character of Batman becomes kind of pointless, right? Where it's like he's not fighting Doomsday.
Yeah.
Forever burned
Now you
into my
understand.
memory is that shot of him scurrying under the concrete.
Yeah, that was his reality. Like, oh, I'm Batman, but I'm not the greatest thing there is.
Yeah.
I can't beat Superman.
Right.
Yeah. So Ben Affleck, sorry to hear you go, but I'm glad you're going out on a high note with the Flash.
Yeah.
Because he looks great. He looks great in there. His suit looks amazing. His scene on that bike looks really cool.
It's a great send off. It's a great send off.
Yeah.
He's
Not mad
cut
about
weight
that.
too, right? Like we don't see Macho Man Batman in like, and I noticed that in the Snyderverse in when he meets Martian
all
Manhunter.
He's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
He's a
Yeah.
little chunk.
Yeah. And like,
Well, if you read the article, he talks about how Snyder just calls him and says, "Hey, you want to shoot this in my backyard?" And that's what they did. They just shot it in his backyard. Like the finishing touches for the Snyder cut was just him in the backyard, like out of the blue. And
Wow.
so,
See, that's where I think he's being politic. Where like he's like, he likes Zack Snyder, and it's fun. But also, it's like, dude, I can't just like drop what I'm doing and go shoot stuff in your backyard. Like, what the hell? Right? I just want to make normal movies the normal way. Why do we got to do this?
Yeah. So speaking of directing, Guillermo del Toro, is making a Frankenstein movie, and so I think he's finally. This is going to be his big time, because he loves monster flicks. He loves horror genre. He's done Hellboy. He's done that Underwater Man. What was that called?
The Shape of Water.
The
But
Shape of
Underwater
Water,
Man
which
is a
was
better
like-
title. We should definitely reach out to the Toro about that.
Which was like the same character in Hellboy,
The fish guy.
Fabian.
Yeah. He likes fish
Fabian?
people. Clearly. That's
Right.
like a thing for him.
It's just kink, dude. Don't they have sex too in like the Shape of Water?
She has sex with the fish man in
That's
Shape of
weird,
Water.
man.
It's a weird movie.
Look at his face though. That looks like a weird guy in general, dude. He scares me a little bit, Del Toro.
he's probably his habit is looking beyond the camera as a
He's looking into
director.
your soul, dude.
That's what
No,
he's doing.
He's
That's what
looking
he's
beyond
doing.
reality, Simon. That's what he's doing.
With those eyes, look at his eyes.
His pupils are hecka dilated.
Dude, compared to Andrew Garfield's eyes, they're like twice the size of his eyeballs, dude. He looks like a freaking owl.
To look
Scary.
into your soul. That's
He
what
does look
Jordan
like
said.
an owl.
I better be careful because this photo is probably like his soul.
He can see you, Josh.
It's like the
Right.
ring.
Photo.
Yeah. But like in this post here from Instagram, Andrew Garfield, we don't know who's playing who, but this Frankenstein movie is starring Andrew Garfield, my man crush, Oscar Isaac, and Mia Goth. I'm excited for this, dude. This is going to be amazing. I think he's going to get another Oscar, I believe. Is it Oscar? Grammy? No, Grammy's
Oscar.
for music.
Oscar.
Yeah.
He's won some Oscars, yeah, for stuff. So
Um,
yeah.
and this
he's
is in
been-
his wheelhouse.
He's been trying to make this for a while, I've heard. It's like a passion project for him to remake it, which it's one of those things where like, well, do we really need another? There's actually quite a few Frankenstein like remakes and stuff, but it is Guillermo del Toro, so it will at least be the best looking Frankenstein movie ever made.
Right.
Yeah. And this cast looks incredible, and like I agree, Oscar Isaac is the most beautiful man in the world, so I'm not going to complain about
He'll
that.
be the Frankenstein monster.
Oh my god. Imagine hires Oscar Isaac and then he's just in makeup.
It's like no. It's
He's
like
just in
it's
a-
actually just Oscar Isaac, and he's just convinced that he's ugly because he is a deformed creature. And like he sees in the mirror the beautiful face of Oscar Isaac's like, I'm a monster. I'm an animal. That's acting.
But no, this looks
I
cool.
doubt he'll be in makeup again because him in Apocalypse was just horrible. Like I forget he was in Apocalypse sometimes.
That's another case where like I feel like now that he's done that, he's never gonna want to do a superhero movie ever again. He's like, this was horrible. I had to sit. He had to sit in a chair for like 10 hours or whatever while they put all that shit on him, and then go out and do like X-Men destroy the world, right? In front of a green screen.
Looking like Mr. Ooze from Power Rangers.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But he did it again. He's Moon Knight.
But that's just a mask, right?
But Moon Knight,
I guess it still take a lot. Yeah.
Moon Knight,
It's a costume.
the only reason he did that is because they were like, look, you just get to act like 5 different characters in this movie.
Right.
In the show, right? So like I was shocked when he took that role because I would never have expected Oscar Isaac to do it. When I saw the show, I got it. Like, oh, okay. So like there is some guy in a suit running around, but like so much of that show is just Oscar Isaac playing like 3 different people arguing with each other.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to it.
It'll be a commentary of fascism for sure. So I'm waiting to see that.
It will somehow be about fascism in the 1930s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I too am excited. I love Guillermo del Toro's work. There's still one thing in the queue that I haven't seen of his, but apparently it won an Oscar as well, which is Pinocchio. And apparently
Pinocchio was so good, man. Justice loved it.
Okay. It looks amazing.
And the animation, which is claymation or stop motion, is fantastic, dude. And like there after the movie, there's a special which talks about how they did it, the different characters and the different props they had. It took them 15 years to make this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
15 years. So he's been working on this for a long time.
I'm impressed.
On top of other things. Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that stop motion company Leica, who did Coraline. It reminded me a lot of Coraline, and I love that movie. I thought Coraline was great. So yeah. So I'm always excited when I hear something that Guillermo del Toro is going to do. So
you know what, Guillermo del Toro, he should do X-Men. He loves working with like freaks, like the characters are like outcast main freaks.
Oh, okay.
Right? Every single movie he's done was like a freak character. Hellboy, Shape of Water, Pinocchio, now Frankenstein.
Okay.
Things like society doesn't accept them, and
that's like his deal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a great idea.
Also,
and you've heard it first here at Secret Hideout Podcast.
The political overtones in his movies too, about like how fascism like destroys imagination.
Right.
Like that lines up pretty well with X-Men if you get serious about its political subtext.
Yeah. Totally.
That's a good idea, man. Shit, I want to see that.
Do it, Guillermo. Do it.
Let's go. And he doesn't reply to fans as much, so we got probably gotta write a letter or something and mail it in.
We got to do it old school with like
send him an
calligraphy, ink, on parchment, or vellum, like legit vellum. So it's like from the skin of an animal.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this. I'm becoming a fan of Del Toro more and more over the years, and that is thanks to Simon and Jordan for sure. I didn't know who this guy was. I think I watched The Labyrinth, and I was like, this guy's a freaking crazy psycho. He dreams of this stuff. Like, this is what he comes up with. Like, Labyrinth, is it The Labyrinth?
Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. It's not a scary movie, but like just the concept and like the creatures he created were just nuts, dude. Like,
the monsters were the fascists.
Dude.
That's what it's a metaphor.
Yeah. They gave me nightmares, dude. Like they're intimidating. So this guy's mind is perfect for Frankenstein.
Nice.
Moving right along to the next director. Academy Award winning. Am I getting this right? Did he win an Academy Award?
I think he did.
Who is it?
You're talking about Tarantino, right?
Quentin Tarantino, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So he's announced that he's doing his final movie, and it's called Movie Critic. And what a way to go, huh? I don't know what this is about. I don't know if it's a time timepiece. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be good.
Yeah. So it's pretty well known, I think. Quentin Tarantino is kind of a fan of Pauline Kael, who's kind of like the legendary film critic. She was a film critic like back in like I think the 70s, mostly 80s. And my guess is, I mean, that would be my first guess. Obviously, I have nothing to back that up, just off the top of my head. And he probably wants to go into film criticism after he quote unquote retires. He said for years, right, that he's only going to make 10 movies because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to. I think I've mentioned the concept of the empire period before, right? Where like artists, they usually achieve a certain period where they're at the center of the cultural zeitgeist, and eventually that period ends. And even if they keep making good stuff, it just never really has the same impact or importance as what they did during that like empire period, right? And I think Tarantino very consciously wants to just go out on a high note and be like, all right, my time is done. He's not going to keep making movies until he's like 80 or something. And he wants to have very like conscious control over his oeuvre, right? Like, in other words, with most directors or artists of any kind, their oeuvre is just whatever they happen to make while they were alive, right? And it has no real shape to it. Clearly, Tarantino is very intentionally trying to be like, here's my first movie, my last movie, and here's the shape of my career. Like he wants it to be defined, right? As like it's almost like a piece of meta art. Like all of his movies go together in like a set, right? And then he's gonna probably go into like film critics or something and review movies himself and write books or essays or whatever on film. But yeah, my guess is Pauline Kael is that this is like a period piece. Like that's become a thing with him is these revisionist period pieces where he like, right, like Inglourious Basterds.
Glorious
where it's
Bastards,
like,
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, they're set in the past, but then he very intentionally and usually very violently changes the ending away from what actually happened in history to what he wishes had happened, right?
Right.
So in Inglourious Basterds, it's all the Nazis are murdered in a movie theater, right? Or what did they set the whole place on fire. So this could be another one of those, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah. So
Man, you know what? Next episode we'll rank his movies.
Oh,
Okay.
I think we should do
That'd be
from
cool.
worst to best.
we could do that.
That'd be
I'm
fun.
looking at him. I'm like, There's not a lot of movies I do not like, but I do see that some that are better than others.
I mean, there's some that are just such a big freaking deal. Like,
Yeah.
Like I can already tell you, was the Hateful Eight feels like it's lesser.
It's the bottom
Yeah.
for sure on my list.
Like I went and saw it in theaters. I saw the big fancy 70 millimeter print. It was cool. And it's not bad or anything, but like, it's not Pulp Fiction.
Right.
So,
Pulp Fiction though they still talk about to this day.
Yep.
yeah.
Kill Bill was like for its time, everyone copied.
Yeah.
The style, even the fight scenes. I mean, the music.
But that's what I mean about the zeitgeist, right? That movie came out and it felt like it was at the beating heart of culture for like a year or two.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Well,
Yep.
two movies.
Yeah.
Two movies. It was released in two parts, right?
Yes.
Volumes one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So many things referred to it, and they
Right.
still do today, So
Right.
So yeah.
And see this
Yeah,
conversation
then-
we're having right now. This is what Tarantino wants. By the way,
Right.
that's why he's doing this. Is he wants people to talk about his career and his body of work in exactly the way we're
Right.
talking.
And he was in Desperado too, right? And he was in
That's right. Yeah.
He didn't direct
other
that
movies.
though, right?
No.
No, he was just in it. I think his friend was the one that directed it, right?
Roberto Rodriguez. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done other stuff outside of his films, right? He directed like an episode of NCIS.
I don't know that.
Yeah, he directed, and he really wanted to. Maybe he'll still do this. He really wanted to direct an episode of Star Trek at some point. Like, he's a big Star Trek nerd. So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
so.
He was in the Grindhouse Death Proof.
Oh yeah, he did that was the one with the car, right? Directed that one.
Yeah. Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown is so good.
And then like Django, dude, that is one of the
Right.
that is a huge, that'll be one of his top 3 movies, I think. They've been talking about that forever. To this day, they still talk about it.
I mean,
And just for how, it's about race, and you got
right.
a white director um, or bringing this up, like the things they say, because he wrote it, right?
Yeah.
He wrote this.
I mean, that's gonna be. And here's the thing: when people, I've there's definitely a lot of like critics I follow and stuff who like they don't really like Quentin Tarantino's movies, and not because they're not good, but because he just drops the N word so much, and they feel
Right.
like he doesn't need to. He just feels like he can, so he does it
Right.
like just an insane amount, just because he knows he can get away with it because he's Quentin Tarantino, right?
But
Um,
but I think he has a certain pulse to the culture or the area he's in, that he understands that's literally how they
right.
talk
Well,
in the
that's
area. I grew up in the hood, and I understand that, like that's how people talked.
did he grow up in he grew up in L.A. I don't know if he
No,
grew up
I'm
in
saying
like.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying he
No,
has
no,
the
no. Okay, so
pulse.
that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing. I've always been on the fence about it because like they're probably right. He doesn't have to go as far as he does. On the other hand, yeah, like dude, I grew up in Pacoima, and dude, people who didn't grow up in like that kind of neighborhood, like man, they just do
don't
not
understand.
know,
Right,
like the
right,
language people use.
right. I mean,
The it's like I know people I've met in my life who did not grow up in those circumstances. And this isn't meant to be like demeaning or an insult, but they come across to me as just insanely sheltered. Like they
yeah,
have never experienced like real profanity. They have never experienced real crime, right?
right.
Or real poverty, right? Like they just like it's two completely different worlds, right? And so you're right. Like he is in some cases he is accurately portraying just how people talk, either in those circumstances or at least in the kinds of movies he's making his movies out of, right? Like
Right.
the exploitation stuff from the 70s. So this is the conversation we should save actually for that other episode, maybe
For sure.
when we do a deep
Yeah,
dive.
no, I agree. But look out for that episode, guys. It's coming soon. This is really good stuff. I'm having fun with it. Um, Last but not least, on a very different note, um, Lance Reddick, he passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't a major named character, but he was in everything you watched.
Right.
Everything pop culture he was in, and I remember him from The Fringe, and him being this, Secret Service MIB agent. That was no nonsense, but he knew everything was going. He was like the Nick Fury of that, And then as a recent, he was in all the John Wick
Yep.
movies,
Kieran.
and I think he played a great character in there. He was never, very emotionless. He never let the situation become too big for him, and so, yeah, man, very sad news. Uh, I think the movie business, the TV business, is going to really miss a character like him. You don't have a lot of guys like him, um, you know, in a show, but you definitely need someone like him. His what he brings to characters is very important. And I think Jordan, you mentioned he's done a lot of voice acting as well.
A lot of voice acting, both in like TV and video games. Probably just as successful there as he is in front of the camera. Worked on some big games there. I mean, he has such a distinctive voice. Yeah, like one of the great character actors ever, right? Like
Right.
it's funny because like I feel like yeah, you're right. Most people probably don't know his name, but like you show anyone this picture, oh yeah, that guy, right? They've seen him. They've seen him in something, probably a few somethings, right? And
Right.
yeah, you could drop him into something, and he does have this like mannerism, or had this mannerism about him, this sort of elevated demeanor where he just made everything feel like if you need someone to be really professional, right, and to look like the guy who knows everything and has his shit together, you hire Lance Reddick. He's that guy. And it's especially tough to see that, especially on like the eve of John Wick 4 that's coming out soon. which I'm probably more excited for than anything so far this month or this year. And the buzz around it is insane. That this is like an amazing movie, maybe the best of the franchise. And he was such a huge part of what made the movies. Like because he's like out of all the supporting characters, he's the one I think that's like the most likable, the one that audiences like the most. He's the first guy I think of when I think of John Wick after John Wick himself. Like, oh yeah, Charon. Like he's the guy at the counter who's always like, you go up to him and you ask him for whatever you need. And he's like, oh yeah, I get you what you need. I'll get you a sawed-off shotgun, right? John Wick entrusts him with his pet dog that he found, and he takes care of the dog. And it's just he's so classy all the time.
Right.
Yeah, this sucks. This sucks.
Yeah, it hurts.
It really does. So,
but yeah, he's gonna be missed. And respect to him. And he's very professional, unlike Simon, who's been muted this whole time and trying to say things, and we didn't hear a word he said.
It's probably for the best. Yeah, I think ditto with what you guys said. One thing I remember, I think he's a phenomenal actor. He had depth and he had range. One thing I remember him of, aside from John Wick, for the John Wick's movies and all that, he did not a skit, but it was like for Funny or Die, and he owned a toy store, and like he acts like his character from The Wire, as an owner of a toy store. It's hilarious. It's so hilarious, and so but again, it's just like, man, what an amazing actor. It looked like he did roles for fun. He had fun with them, and stuff, and yeah, I'm gonna miss him. His voice is just is amazing. Like he was in Castlevania. He was the pirate in Castlevania. So that's the last thing I remember him doing a voiceover for. So
well, in terms of his voice work, I mean, so that's something I'm less. So here's the thing: I'm not a big fan of the Destiny franchise. So that's why I'm less familiar with his voice work until the version today. But yeah, he's Commander Zavala, Destiny and Destiny 2. And I know people who like Destiny and like they fucking love Destiny. They're like addicted to it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure those people are feeling this right now.
Right.
But yeah, Fringe, John Wick, Destiny, right? Those are like the big ones. But yeah, and then aside from that, just like, I don't know, like a couple hundred other roles.
Right.
Just like he was in one episode of literally every TV show. So just to really
Did you guys say this? He was Martian Manhunter, the voice of Martian Manhunter. Was that him?
Was he?
I don't think so. He was no. It was another guy.
He's been in a few. So let's see. He was Ra's al Ghul in a Batman cartoon.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. Let's see. The Wire, Fringe, Uprising. But yeah, I don't see anything about Martian Manhunter.
Okay. No, he probably wasn't then.
He was in DuckTales.
I thought I heard.
What the hell? Dude, he was
like who?
General Lunaris?
Yes. He was the moon guy.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That's right. What? Dope.
Wow.
There you go.
I did not know that. Now I do. Damn.
That's cool. Well, he's going to be missed. We miss him.
Yeah.
We're going to miss him and everything he's done.
Yep.
So with that, great transition to our next segment, which is called The Future of Sport. That's right. The Future of Sport.
I totally forgot we were even doing that.
You didn't like Champions of Innovation?
I would have recommended we do that before we talk about this, but
I think
we really should have thought about how we were ordering these ahead of time.
Right. Hey, but it happened. Okay, we're here. We're gonna make the best of it with a secret hideout.
Just keep it rolling. Just keep it rolling. Let's be professional.
Right.
Just keep going.
So this segment is just about weird sports we come across on the internets. And one that I came upon is called it's laser tag competition. and I don't know if Simon's going to pull up or not, but
Yeah, we're waiting for Simon to pull up a video.
Okay. All right.
because it's not funny if I have to describe it.
So
But
to be
this is
clear,
it. No
before you
sound,
start
yeah.
the video, so before you start playing it, Josh, I think there's something you want to explain, which is like this isn't typical competitive laser tag where you've got like two teams. This is
No,
more.
yeah,
This is more primal.
right. This is not like your old school QZR days where you're hiding, you're jumping, you're running around. Man, these are just like it's like a duel. It's two men like 3 feet away from each other, and you got like this slithering motion. You're just and
It's
you're
hard
in
to
there-
describe.
Yeah,
You're
just to
just-
be clear, not two men dueling from opposite ends of like the laser tag
Nope.
arena.
No.
They're literally just standing like right next to each other.
And so I mean, and they're not young men at that either. They're older gentlemen. They look like a dad. It looks like if me and my son's best friend's father was like, "Hey, let's start a laser tag competition."
Right.
We're like, "Yeah, that'd be great," and we just slither
It's like
and
it's like
shoot.
if your kids were playing laser tag but they weren't doing a very good job, and you both was like, guys, this isn't. And you take the gear from them, like, look, we're going to show you how it's done, right? And then the two of you just decide to go at it, and you're just like
Yeah,
getting
we're
into it. And after I don't know, 15 maybe 30 minutes, your kids are starting to wonder if they're ever going to play laser tag
Right.
because you're on like round 20
We're
because
just-
you're just so serious about this.
We're too old. We're too fat to be running around and hiding. It's just shoot and draw. That's it. So
To be fair,
Without
these guys
further
aren't
ado,
running
guys.
around anywhere or hiding. They're just standing.
Yeah. Without further ado, so I'm going to play this video and be entertained because
And it's
we were
muted.
laughing for a
You
while.
might want to unmute it.
Oh, okay. I was just afraid of the echo.
Echo?
If I
Do you still have an echo? Well, let's play it. Let's see what happens.
okay.
We'll do it live. We'll see what happens. Can't hear anything anyway.
Can you hear it?
No.
No,
No, you weren't here. Okay.
it's okay. It's all right.
We
Just
don't
play
have
it.
to. Yeah, we don't have to spend much
Okay.
time on it. We can see.
But there's major lag. I don't know if it's on me.
Oh, no, it's coming through pretty. It's a little bit
Okay,
choppy. Look, you can get the idea. These two guys are shooting at each
I'm
other
playing
from a
it.
few inches away.
Keep on playing it.
Oh,
Why- why
okay.
stop?
All right.
Yeah,
All
why'd
right.
you
All right.
stop? You can.
So, yeah,
So
the-
just to give you an explanation, guys, we did not practice doing this ahead of time at all. Maybe we should. It occurs to me now that we probably should have done that.
Right.
I don't think we
yeah.
ever actually
We
tried
talked
to
about
play.
it. It sounded fun. We sound like we had a handle on it, but obviously we don't. But what you're seeing is what the competition is, and it's the first person to make your vest rumble.
Yeah.
So it's like a quick draw, but they're turning sideways. They're hiding their laser chest vest, and
It's so weird.
it looks like there's no skill and just a bunch of stupidity.
I think.
So I beg to differ. I think there's plenty of skill in it. It's just evolved to be something like this. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like they probably like. Okay,
it's
so what are the
evolved to
rules?
be worse? Is that?
I think so. Like, but we have the untrained, unskilled eye. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel that like the parameters of this game.
I'm
They-
playing it.
Yeah.
What?
That,
Did you stop?
Oh, dang it!
he keeps
Sorry.
stopping the video, dude. So what
I
you're
think
saying,
it's just-
Simon, just to be clear, I want to make sure I'm following your logic. The technique on display here is so advanced, so refined that lay eyes such as ours just can't comprehend what we're like. We can't see the finesse. Right. It's just too.
I think we see it as ridiculous, but like for them, like
It's deadly
I
serious.
think it's deadly serious. But like I feel that they've boiled it down to this technique. This is the only way to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because like if they go on the anyways, I'm just
Look how.
Simon,
okay.
I would have agreed with you, but I don't see anybody in the audience standing around while the audience is literally a circle of grown men getting excited about anything. There's no like, oh, if you see great skill and you have a keen eye for it, people will notice who who are in the realm who actually do this, and it looks like everyone there
I don't know.
wants to be
What's
there
amazing
because
to me about this video is, yeah, they're all just standing in a circle. They look so serious. The guys doing this look
Exactly.
serious. Like,
Exactly.
I
I
mean,
feel
look at
that they're
them. Seriously, you think that these were like heavyweight boxing champs, right?
right.
Like going for like the world title. Like they're just they're
Because
so
they're gonna be
focused.
next. They're gonna be next. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's and so they're just testing out, they're scoping, they're measuring, it's just like, oh, okay, okay. They don't wanna show too much excitement because that'll like give people kind of a maybe an advantage, so it's all poker face, you know.
Hmm.
No
and
reference intended.
just a little bit more backstory. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, but this is like from 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 10 years old. It's got
So
a couple 100,000 views.
maybe the skills have refined, maybe the things have changed, because like sports 10 years ago is a lot different than it is today. Like basketball, football,
Oh, yeah.
people get bigger, stronger, faster. There's
Sorry, so
steroids.
are you saying if we found these guys today, they'd be like totally swole from all the
They're
performance
just
enhancing drugs?
roided up, yeah, ripped up. Their fingers are probably 3 times the size of
Their gear is
ours.
more advanced, all of it. Like they've got sponsorships. Sorry. As
Yeah.
we're talking, I'm seeing this. The video keeps rolling and out of. It just, they're so tired now. They look exhausted, but they just keep going.
That's it. It's a stamina game. That's what it is.
Ah,
Every person on screen is either in dad jeans or cargo shorts.
Right.
that's a good point.
That tells
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah. The tie-dye guy. Look at
Oh
him.
my
He's
God.
super into it. He's invested.
Dude,
He's
the
probably
guy
the owner.
the guy with the red vest, he has Under Armour on. Because he knows he's gonna break a major sweat with it.
So when you shared this video with Josh, I think the first thing that really jumped out at me, and the reason I was okay with showing this on the channel, was just like, so that to me the thing about laser tag, the entire point of laser tag is it's a dark room with like neon lights, and it makes it feel like, oh, it's futuristic, you got lasers, right? And sometimes they have like some steam or smoke so you can see the lasers, right?
Yeah.
This is just a well-lit room. It's a laser tag arena, but they just turn all the lights on, and you can just see how it's just like, oh, it's just a freaking warehouse. They just painted some stuff black, and
it used
everything's
to be
made
an
of
old
like
Staples,
foam.
Jordan. It used to be an old
There's an air
Staples.
conditioner. Yeah, like it's just like, dude, at the very least they could have made this look cool, but somehow they found a way. They've taken every step they could to make this look as uncool as they possibly could. Like,
So I have a take that I think out of all three of us, only I see. And to me, these look like men that are married. Can you imagine going home and telling your wife, I had a rough day. Just leave me alone right now. I was in a duel, in a battle. Like I lost. I lost in a laser tag tournament. Just give me a minute to decompress. I'm exhausted. I don't need your ish right now. Okay.
Like,
I don't
oh,
need
honey,
to cut the
I'm so
lawn.
sorry.
I'm exhausted. Give me a minute. He just goes to his room and he just like decompresses.
it sounds
And then you have
ridiculous,
to come out of.
but these guys, like the looks on their faces, that's the story they tell.
That's exactly what I see. He's like, babe, I just need a minute. And the other guy's like, I'm getting lucky tonight, babe. You're gonna be making love to a champion. Yeah, baby.
And the whole point why they showed up is to just spend time with their sons or kids, and then like they drift more and more apart because he's so focused on being the champion of this
Turn
kind
into
of
this.
tournament now.
Yeah. Look at
There's a
someone,
bunch of-
I don't even know who won.
Off camera, there's a bunch of like kids waiting for their dads to finish.
Exactly.
They're outside playing with rocks.
Yeah.
It's
Like they're
10
all
it's 10:30 at night, and the kids are in the minivans as they have this tournament.
So here's a question I have. To not be totally negative. So we're being pretty critical of these guys, but to not be totally negative, right? I mean, laser tag is one of those things that I think everyone in the world thinks is the coolest shit ever when you're like 13 for like 1 year.
right.
And you go to laser tag for your birthday once or twice. And then you never go again. Right? Partly because you grow out of it, and partly because the laser tag place you went to was only open for like 2 years and then mysteriously disappeared.
Right.
New ones always arise, like fungus or something, right? And then they disappear. They never
Right.
stick around. And then it gets replaced by Spirit Halloween or whatever. Um, and I wonder, like, do you think if they made a laser tag that was like genuinely good, like for adults, if they made like, better budget, like not just foam with like, neon tape on it, but like they made a genuinely like nice big budget version of a laser tag arena with really good like equipment and stuff, right? That looked really cool and it was properly air conditioned, by the way, because those places are always way hotter than they should be.
Right.
Could you see a version of this that worked? That wasn't like dorky as hell and was actually
I would like to say I seen a very nice one before in Mountain View
okay.
growing up. It was 2 stories. They had like a drawbridge. It was kind of like, yeah, it was really nice, dude. It goes up and then it goes down, and then you could cross from one platform to the other. But it was like obviously licensing was the issue, so it was in between like Star Trek and Star Wars.
Okay.
It was like, I think they called it QZAR or Planet Laser. I forgot which one it was, but it was nice. Man. It was like a giant warehouse, and this guy spent a lot of money back then developing this place, and I think it closed down in like 2003,
Oh, wow.
2004, but it lasted a long time. And they used to do tournaments there, but it was not like that. It was not like that. It was a strategy, team based. I think it was like 3-on-3 or something like that. And I don't know how the rules were, but I remember they used to promote it there. Um, I believe, man, I was a late teenager the last time I went there. Actually, maybe I was like 20. I was 20 years old if I think about it.
Wow.
Simon, did you go with us one time to laser tag over there?
I never went to laser tag.
I think it was like Phil, a bunch of other people. No?
Simon, have you been to laser tag? Like just
I have been.
Okay.
I was one of those. I was one of those 13-year-olds that had a birthday party at a laser tag. Yeah.
Hey, we were poor, Simon. We didn't do that. We had carne asada in front of my house, and I hit a piñata.
I would have traded carne asada.
No, you wouldn't have. No, you
I love
wouldn't
carne
have.
asada.
No. You would now maybe, but with 13-year-old you, if given the
with
choice.
13-year-old me? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably
They were
not.
like, hey, you want to have a birthday in the front yard, or do you want to go to QZAR laser tags?
Yep, 13-year-old me wouldn't blink an eye on what decision he'd make.
I bring this up only because watching some of these videos, because after watching this, I watched a few more of these competitive laser tag videos. A lot of them are way less weird looking. Like this is okay. I can see this makes a bit more sense to me. You've got a team of 3 or 5 against a team of 3 or 5, and their gear doesn't look like super old, and the place doesn't look cheap. But it did occur to me that the appeal of those laser tag places, like it's dark room, neon lighting, running around shooting people, I'm like that is basically the same reason people like the John Wick movies. And so I feel like at some level we just have to acknowledge that, like as silly and dorky as it is, I think on some level everybody still kind of wants that. That's why I was asking, like that appeal is still there. And if you recreated like one of those like nightclubs from John Wick and that was the laser tag arena, I feel like a lot of people would want to see that. So
see, but I think now it's more advanced. Like, so it went from laser tag to paintball. Paintball was huge, right? For that reason too, because it's more realistic. You get shot, there's a little bit of pain, and it's actual weapon that could reach long distances. They're not flagged by electronical error, because sometimes you're just like, who's shooting me? Right. Just see the thing going off. And then it advanced recently to airsoft. Airsoft's a really huge
airsoft
thing.
Is a thing now. Yeah, airsoft is what everyone's into. Yeah.
And I see people be John Wick, Jason Bourne up in there, and I'm just amazed at some of the stuff they do. And these rifles they have are shooting long range. They have scopes on them. It's nuts.
There's a YouTuber who wears a ghillie suit. Like he's like he's a bush. He basically looks like a plant, and then like he just stays in one place for the entire game and just shoots people.
He has 2 guns. He has his rifle, and then he has his pistol. He pulls out, and it's just like, dude, this guy, it needs to be hired by the CIA or some kind of government.
He
Anyways,
probably was
uh,
ex-military.
probably
That's right.
right.
Maybe he was. This is what he does now. This is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
retired.
It's
It's
like,
still time. Like
Yeah.
he's just like, hey babe, I'm heading to the range again.
Just keeps his
I'm heading
skills
to the
up
field,
this way in case he ever needs to get revenge on somebody from his past or something. Yeah.
brushing up on his skills. He's creating a. He doesn't. Everyone around him doesn't know, but he's creating an actual tactical team for the apocalypse. He goes, he's like, I've been training you guys from the beginning of my stay here, and now you guys need to know what the purpose was. It was for a moment like this, and then he assembles them. Anyways,
mushrooms are making zombies right now. Go, go, go.
yeah. But to your point, Jordan, I think you're right. People still want that feeling of being Rambo, about being John Wick, about being Jason Bourne. All these characters we grow up seeing that are just badass shooter up movies, but it just evolved to something new. Like. But I think there is still a window of where it could be nostalgic for us, right? Especially for our age, where you don't have to be running around. You just walk around, shoot lasers, and you just kind of view it. But yeah, I think it's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. You can't.
The laser tag aspect.
All right. So laser tag. Maybe airsoft. Now that's the thing. But laser tag is. So.
Dude, those airsoft videos I'm watching these guys are nuts, dude.
Yeah.
Like they're on another level.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I've been paintballing a few times. I mean, it's been over a decade now, but something that I did in like high school and some early 20s. And yeah, it can be fun, but it's also just like really unpleasant because like you got to wear all this gear. And I live in Southern California. And all the paintball places, for some reason, are up in like the frickin' high desert out towards like where it's like 10 degrees hotter than everywhere else.
Right.
So you get there, and half the time the gun's jamming because the paintballs will melt because it's so hot. They get
right.
soft and they,
Yep.
they melt. Once I went paintballing at a place up near Big Bear, and that sucked because the paintballs froze. Like it wasn't snowing, but it was just cold enough that the paintballs, they were too viscous. They wouldn't break.
Nasty.
Yeah.
So you were just getting pummeled with
welts.
rocks, basically. So airsoft makes things a lot easier, right? Because like you can still feel it, but you're not getting hit by a freaking 1-inch ball. And dude, they make like biodegradable pellets. So like
cool.
it takes them like 1 to 2 months or something. They just biodegrade into like dirt.
Right.
So like, yeah,
That's your next venture right there, dude. In Big Bear, that's your next venture, dude. That's your next venture. That's your next business venture, is to create an airsoft up in Big Bear.
Up in Big Bear, maybe.
Of course.
There's only one. There's a shooting range up there, but it's like, I don't know. It's a little old school. It's where the red hats are. And yeah, it's
Red hats.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know. It's just the vibe. You get the vibe,
Yeah.
But also, it's like it's just like it's all gravel. That's part. See, this is why I'm asking. I think there's a whole vibe around shooting ranges that's very like unwelcoming to many people, right? And you get there and like it's all kind of dirty and it's just like a gravel parking lot and there's dust floating in the air. And like they had a nice, classy version. Like I said, like you went to a place and it looked like something from John Wick, where everything's like really nice and clean and like classy. And
you have
like
an attendant,
soft or something. Yeah, I feel like that would appeal to people.
They actually did have something like that, like more realistic to a John Wick. It was like a airsoft MMA. Do you remember seeing that, Simon?
Airsoft.
Yes.
MMA.
Okay. I wanted to search for it. I couldn't find it for the life of me. But yeah, basically, I really feel like it was in Eastern Europe. Because like it was actual like military weapons. They didn't look like futuristic rifles like a laser tag, but it was
like a handgun, and
military grade training weapons. Right. And it was laser tag, and then like if you
just
go
pummel.
Yep.
You just beat them up. Like I think I seen him pistol whip somebody,
right,
and then beat the crap out of them. I was like, "What the heck?"
And it was like in this giant warehouse that looked like a Modern Warfare. And yeah. I remember seeing something like that. So,
but here's
the next one. We'll pull that up.
Yeah, here's the thing. How were they dressed?
like
Like in
tactical.
military.
Yeah, military
Yeah.
tactical
So
gear.
what my vision is, no, you're wearing a suit and tie.
Ooh.
John Wick, suit and tie.
James
right?
Bondish type
Yeah,
John
see
Wick.
that's what I'm
yes.
saying. That's the fantasy that no one's so
So-
yeah, James Bond is another good example, right? Like you want to be John Wick fighting through a nightclub, or James Bond's, like fighting
The
through this
Hitman.
stairwell. Yeah, like or the Hitman games where like you're infiltrating, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah. That's what's not that's what nobody's doing,
I think you're bringing up a market here. I
Yeah.
think you're
Yeah.
bringing a venture.
I'm gonna think about this. Maybe I'll have to find some investors.
'Cause that also taps into the anime type, because a lot of anime guys watch and they wear suits and they shoot and all that, like the Devil May Cry type stuff.
Right. That's true. Right. The weebs. Got the weebs.
Well, I think this was a fun episode. We got something for next week. So with that, I think we're done here. Appreciate you guys listening to us.
Yep.
And so, any closing arguments? Any closing comments?
Simon, don't you say a goddamn thing. Just keep your mouth shut. I know
Well,
you're thinking
I'm
of something. I know you've got.
Now I want to
another
say
rambling
something.
answer.
Okay, I'll stop. No
We'll
rambling.
be here for another hour talking
About the
about
last unicorn or
Ted
something.
Lasso.
Yeah.
He's like,
Well,
I got a
let's
real
talk
quick
about
comment.
let's talk about unicorns, huh? Let's bring that up.
We're not talking
Because
about
Shazam,
unicorns.
Fury of the Gods, stampede of
Can I
them.
just-
I tell you what.
Can I just quickly summarize all of season 1 through 9 of Seinfeld real quick? Do you mind?
It's important. It's important context to understand this one thing. we have to talk about.
Extremely. You guys just didn't get it. It's extremely important.
All right. Yeah, we're at 2 hours 16 minutes. I think we are done. See you guys next week, and maybe we'll be talking about Quentin Tarantino, I guess.
All right. Josh, say it.
Oh, you guys don't gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell out of here.